Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 750. It is March 23rd, 2023. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, and I'm joined this evening by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Christopher Guthridge.
Hello.
And Christopher Davis.
Hello.
Who is wearing sunglasses for some reason. I thought maybe this had something to do with Resident Evil, but that's next week. I don't.
This is my week, Nick. This is where the points finally start coming in. My ship is coming into port.
Is this what? This is the fucking...
No. Is this what we're starting with? This bullshit? His number one draft, fucking came out, and now he thinks that he's... Look, everybody's got a number one draft pick, okay? You can't hang your hat on that one. Everyone's got
here's the thing. I'm no longer negative. So, hey.
I guess that's true.
That's something to celebrate, I suppose.
I was in last motherfucking place. And now I have skyrocketed probably to third.
But
so,
it doesn't matter because all that matters is what
no
it
places.
It only matters at the end. At the end of the day, at the end of the year.
Only matters at the end. There's counter picks. There's games we still haven't bid on yet. It literally doesn't matter.
But
right now. It never matters.
To his
point, the points as we go don't matter. Some people have more games already out. It just doesn't matter.
To his point, though, we are going to start, as we do every week, with our Fantasy Critic update. If you're just tuning in, we were doing the Fantasy Critic. We started at the very beginning of the year. We've done our initial draft. Go back, check out episode... I don't remember which episode it was, but the first episode we did of the year, we did our initial draft. Now we are 3 months in, and things are getting interesting. So I want to start out the show, as we do weekly, by giving you a quick points update.
I'm not happy, Nick.
Brad's not happy.
I'm not happy.
You got some stuff to be happy about.
No, I'm not happy.
He got less than 10 points on a game. He is very upset.
It's soft, man. I got a soft game, and I'm not happy about it. It was my last draft pick.
I got a negative.
It was my last
person
draft
so
pick.
far.
And if you remember back to the draft, my number 10 or my number 6, how many games did we draft? My last draft, I was like, I'm gonna throw it a bid for world peace. And I voted, or I drafted Advance Wars. And everybody made a face. And I was like, okay, I'll do something else.
Is that how that happened?
Yes, I don't even know why people reacted the way they did. Well, you could check the fucking tapes because it exists.
We do have tapes.
So I was like people like y'all had a fucking problem with it. I got the stink eye, the fart face. So I switched it up.
I think it was more about your comment than about the actual game.
Well, I don't know. I mean...
I wasn't.
It was a bid for world peace, just like, yeah, I don't know. So I made an audible and I went with Storyteller, which, by the way, the first time we saw Spy Party at PAX. This game's been in development for almost 10 years. We saw this at one of the first PAXs we went to. I feel like, and it was cool then. And I was like, oh, he's been working on this cool concept for 10 years. It has a cool art style. It seems really polished. And I was like, this thing seems like it's very easy to like. And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Y'all have seen Storyteller. Y'all
Yes.
played the demo of Storyteller.
I have not played the demo, but I know what you're talking about.
No. It's a neat concept. Neat concept. Y'all still have no idea what I'm talking about. This is why people looked at my list and was like, well, I've never heard of those games, so you can't possibly win. But yeah, I don't know. It came out and soft. It didn't get a lot of points.
You got 5 points. It came in with a 75 on OpenCritic.
Yeah.
You're sitting at 5 points.
Didn't even get a half chub off it.
It's like a 3-hour game. This dude's been working on this shit for 10 years. He couldn't make more than 3 hours of video game.
Let's not developer shame him, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
He put his heart and soul into it, and just because it pulled a 70, like you said it yourself, indie games, no matter how good they are,
I know.
struggle.
It's so hard for an indie game to really break through. They're just meaner to fucking indie games.
In other
weird.
news, though, your
Fucking
more
Cyberpunk. People taking
recent
literal
pickup,
poops all over Cyberpunk, and then it still gets like an 85.
your recent pickup, you picked up Dredge, which we talked a little bit about last week. You introduced it. It's kind of like a
Dredge.
fishing survival
Stole
game.
Dredge, more like.
Dredge. I didn't steal.
Stole.
We both bid before the reveal, which means it was.
Yeah, but if you look at the times, I bid first, so
But
I mean,
no, neither of us knew that each other bid, and we both thought that the bid was our bid
We
when
don't
it was
know that.
revealed.
we
And
don't know.
none of us changed our bid amounts. The
We
bid
don't know.
that I put in was the bid. Okay, whatever. No one stole
How
shit.
is
You
it?
stole
We don't
no.
know.
You
Okay.
stole Ryza from me because I
Oh,
did
shit.
put in the Ryza 3
That-
bid.
That was
That was
just
revealed,
masterful
and
play.
you sniped to
God.
that shit. So
That
I don't
was
want to hear.
just
Pause for just a second. I hate to do this like after we've already started recording, but Krispy,
what?
your mic last week, your Audacity was not picking up your correct
Oh
microphone.
yeah, double check that.
Do you happen to know if it's picking up the right microphone right now?
Mm.
I'm so sorry to do this on the actual show. Don't worry, we're not gonna like start over the whole podcast or anything.
Okay, well, this is giving me a good opportunity
Hello,
to tell y'all that
hello.
he stole my Ryza 3.
These segments go long because Brad's antagonistic about this shit. So let's move on. We got more points to talk about. But yeah, so Dredge is coming out to next week, but there's already reviews out there for it. You're looking at about 13 points on Dredge, so that's pretty nice. That's
I
not
was doing
bad.
better earlier in the day.
That's not
What
bad.
the fuck?
Not bad.
You know, I think there's a bunch of scrub gamers. I think you gotta be careful with hard indie games because a bunch of scrub ass casuals who can't play Cuphead will say this shit's too hard and give it a bad score.
Okay. On the other hand, Krispy pulled in 13 points on Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the
Oh my
End.
god,
and
that's
the
at
Hell
83
yeah.
too. This motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Krispy's playing the game, and he's doing it well.
Masterful play.
Did you even watch one preview or anything about that game before you stole that from me?
Have you checked out the thighs?
Literally stole it. You motherfucker.
No, I couldn't pick that game out of a lineup. Like,
I
don't know.
You probably could actually.
I swear to
Yeah.
God, I swear to God, if secret bidding was a thing, I'd be fucking doing so much better. If secret bidding was a thing.
We have talked about this. Maybe when we do this next year, we will switch to secret bidding. But right now, this is the first time we're doing it. It's a good time. All right. Chris Davis, like we said, is on the board now. These points aren't set in stone yet because the game is not technically out and the points don't actually tally until it releases, which is tomorrow. But Resident Evil 4, which was Chris Davis's first draft pick for obvious reasons, is putting him at 92, so he got 24 points on the board because every point over a 90 it gets on OpenCritic, you get 2 points each. So he's sitting at at 24 points, and then he also pulled in 8 points for Tchia, which we're going to talk about on the podcast tonight during the second segment. So,
which can I mention about Tchia? Well, spoiler alert, I'm having a good time with it, but it feels like there's some kind of vindictive people out there with the reviews on this.
hey, well,
What the fuck are you talking about?
Like
Tchia? People are being mean to Tchia?
Like unfairly mean to this game.
Okay, here's the thing.
What does that mean? You're saying the reviews are off base?
I'm saying that there's some reviews out there that are pretty off base.
Vindictive though, like Tchia fucking stole their Wheaties or something. Like is that a saying?
One review in particular gave it a 3.5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's
why.
I mean, but here's the thing.
Doesn't fucking like it. Well, we'll talk about it. But
yeah, we'll talk about
the gun.
I could see somebody who has a real problem with just that general style of game, and
it didn't score poorly.
No, it's actually doing quite well. You know, but like you also just like we've talked about this a few times tonight already because indie games, even like the best indie, like I forgot who looked it up this week. We were having this exact conversation in Discord. Fucking Hollow Knight has like an 89. Like that didn't even break 90, and it's widely considered to be one of the best. You know, fucking. It's like
games ever made.
Yeah, it's insane.
Best games ever made. Yes, I know. It's bullshit.
Will we see an indie game break 90 this year? I think it's unless it's Silk Song. I don't think so.
Hollow Knight. It'll be Silk Song because it has the legacy now.
It'll be Silk Song because they know they need to make up for the blasphemous bullshit of not giving of the first game. So, you know, pulling in 8 points on a game like Tchia is respectable. But yeah, your number one draft came out. That's great. And we have some new bids that were just revealed tonight. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Isn't that like the Jet Set Radio?
Yeah, it's the spiritual successor.
Yeah.
Which looks cool. I don't know who bid on that. I feel like I could make an argument for anybody here in this room. I could also see Nolan doing it. I could also see Carlos doing it. That one's way up in the air. I don't know. Also, Counter-Strike 2, which we're going to talk a little bit about in the news headlines, was obviously announced this week. And the fact that it was jumped on so quickly, that feels like a Chris Davis draft. Like,
I'm saving my money this week, man.
I don't think you
No,
are.
he's not
And
saving his money. Do you know what he fucking said
we're-
in Discord? You know what he said in Discord? I said, someone's gonna have to pay for this game. You know, if they want it, they're gonna have to pay for it.
I want to know what
I'm
gonna
bid on it.
You listed all three of those games. I had no idea what you were talking about.
I'm talking here, and this motherfucker pops in and goes, "Hey, just out of curiosity, which one of those are you talking about?" That, and he's like, "I'm not bidding though, or I'm not going to spend much money." Why would he ask a fucking question like that?
I've got $69. I'm holding on to that for a while.
Yeah, you also have like one slot left, so you're going to spend.
I've got 2 slots left, and I may have 3 pretty soon.
Chris Davis. I don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this the wrong way, Chris Davis.
Yeah.
I hope you don't play poker.
No, I don't.
It's
the best part. I don't. I play blackjack.
I mean, I don't either. But like,
I'm just saying, like, I don't. If you want Counter-Strike, you're gonna have to pay for it. That's all I'm saying.
And we're saying honestly, Counter-Strike is legal and valid and fair to pick.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, though, is
since it's a update to CS:GO.
But yeah, that's the question. Is it like, does it count?
It counts.
I mean,
okay.
Did Overwatch 2 count last year? Yeah.
Did it?
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't have any tags that made it not, pickable.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
We'll keep an eye on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's safe and fair. Also, the last one was last bid we have right now is for Lego 2K Drive. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what this is.
Well, it's brand new. It's brand new. They just announced it. It's a AAA open world Mario Kart game, but you're like making a race/racing game, but it's all Lego vehicles that you like build yourself, and it's got like the whole Sega All-Stars Racing where like you hit water and you transform into like a water vehicle, and then you like transform into like a flying vehicle and stuff, but they're all like creations that you make, and it looks pretty polished and nice. And honestly,
that sounds pretty dope.
Seems like a pretty decent pickup.
Yeah, it does seem pretty good. I might have to look into that myself. Not for points necessarily, but just like familiar, because that sounds pretty. Also, like the Lego franchise in general, I feel like has just become insanely popular over the years, like in a pretty safe pickup in terms of just wanting to pull in points. So, Lego 2K Drive. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, also, like this is not a Traveler's Tales game. Like, there's been a few Lego licensed like smaller projects in the past several years, but the last major one was the Skywalker Saga, which, sure, Traveler's Tales probably their best work ever, but like that's all it's ever been, Traveler's Tales. So this is a new team, from what I understand. I know a new team.
This is the 2K basketball team.
Hey, you know what? I think Chris Davis is also showing his hand here. Did he pick this one up too? Like suddenly Chris Davis is an expert.
I'm at $69. I'm keeping my very nice money.
Attention to games that got announced today.
No, seriously. What is with this developer? I'm curious.
I don't know. I do not know.
I'm not buying it.
How curious are you, Chris Davis? $8 curious? $10 curious?
I've got to save my money for the rest of the year.
Oh, sure you are.
Lego 2K Drive.
$12 curious.
And last but not least, as far as Fantasy Critic stuff goes, we had one pickup last week. It was me. I got 9 souls.
Which looks good. I definitely considered bidding on it, but I did.
I know, and you faked me out into upping my bid because I was nervous because I was like, I really want this one.
Oh
And
well, no, but I was. I mean, I've been talking about that game since I heard about it
Oh,
and played the
visual
demo.
concepts. Okay. All right.
Oh,
the fuck,
he's
what the
acting like
fuck?
he's playing dumb.
No, seriously, I was
This
looking
is
up. I didn't
fucking
know.
Yeah, for whose
Pedro
benefit is
Pascal
this?
quality acting over here.
Chris
It's-
Davis,
It's
don't let this man near a poker table ever. Okay.
wow.
Like, has Chris Davis ever showed up to a
Oh, it's a
podcast conversation
video
without knowing
game.
like all the assistants working on at a team, much less the name of a studio?
Their
He probably
last
knows who makes the coffee at that studio.
non-sports related game they ever made was Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, 2006.
Okay.
That's the only one, in fact. Holy shit.
Okay. And
This
you know
is-
what? This is fucking Lego Horizon. Okay. And you know what? The people who make Forza Horizon are making a Fable game. So shit happens.
All right, that's it. We're good on Fantasy Critic. That's where we stand. We'll find out who picked those games up on Saturday when the bids close. So again, tune in next week. We've shifted some things around recently, so I just want to let everybody know, if you listen to the show regularly and you missed this, we're moving stuff around. We're going to focus on news and topic of the week in this first segment, but when we come back, Krispy is going to tell us about that Diablo 4 beta. Chris Davis is going to tell us about the Exoprimal beta. We're going to talk about Tchia. Should be a good time. But before we get to that, obviously, I want to run through the headlines, the week in gaming. A lot of stuff has happened this week. This is like the kind of week I love, because it's just like news topic after news topic, and a lot of it's interesting. So I want to start tonight by talking about, I don't know if y'all saw this, Remedy released their annual report. It's GDC week, so you're seeing a lot of like business talk, industry business talk right now. So Remedy did their annual report, right, where they talk about their entire lineup, because they have a lot of
5 projects.
They have a lot of stuff. What's the saying I'm trying to think of? They have a lot of like pokers in the fire.
A lot of dogs in the fire.
Pokers in the fire?
I don't know. Somebody tell me what the hell I'm trying to say here.
A lot on their
like
plate.
I don't like
Why
Crispy's
would you
version
need
of this.
more than one fire poker?
I don't know, dude. That's why I'm trying to
A lot
remember.
of irons in the fire.
Irons in the fire. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. They have a lot of irons
dicks
in the fire. Crispy said dogs, and now I'm sad. Okay. Remedy has a lot of irons in the fire right now, but kind of the big thing that I gleaned from this was that they talked about Alan Wake 2 development, right? I have personal stake in Alan Wake 2. It's one of my major. It's not only is it one of my most anticipated games of the future, hopefully this year, but like it's also counterpicked for me. It's on my roster, so I can't drop it. But Remedy said that Alan Wake 2 is in its final stages of production, and it's in the polish phase at this point. And it was in full on production for most of last year. So they are still expecting to release this game before the end of the year. We don't know the exact window obviously yet, but it sounds to me like they're banking on Alan Wake 2 being their kind of their big release for this year, and probably for the next couple of years, because other projects like Control 2, the Max Payne remake, Project Condor, and Project Vanguard. One of those is a multiplayer Control game. I don't remember what the other one was, or if we even know what the other one is. But those are all in various stages of pre-production at this point. So it sounds like Alan Wake 2 will be out this year if all goes according to plan, and it'll probably be the last Remedy game we see for a couple of years.
This is crazy, right? I hate to bring it back to Fantasy Critic, but like these are like
It all goes back.
Your list is all of these games that like no sensible person, bid on or drafted, because it's like, well, they aren't coming out anytime soon. They say they're 2023, but shit gets delayed, right? But if all your shit really does just come out, you're probably going to do really well, but it has to come out.
Right. So I'm sitting at 7 points right now because
I thought I saw some Silent Hill shit today that said that's still coming too.
There was an interview. That basically it was a Polish interview in which I honestly don't know who at the studio was being interviewed, but I think it was one of the lead developers. But he basically said that that game is also very, very close to completion, and that it could actually release pretty soon, but the ball is in Konami's court, so they get to decide when it drops. But here's the thing about that too. If it's really ready to release, they went through all this trouble. Konami was like, we're going to announce all these Silent Hill games and we're going to bring it back in a really big way. They're not just going to sit on it. If it's ready, like they have, and it makes sense that Silent Hill 2 remake would be kind of their flagship, or like their coming back.
This is the game we can't afford to fuck up.
This is the game we can't afford to fuck up. It's the game that we can use to prove ourselves that we mean business and that we want Silent Hill to be significant again. So if it really is close to being completed, I could see that dropping later this year as well. So I mean, that's a little bit less concrete than the Remedy stuff, but
we were talking about in Discord today, and I'm still skeptical because this will have been Bluebird releasing 4 games in a little over 2 years.
Right. But I said this to you, the reason you are right about one thing. This is definitely a trust but verify studio, right? Like, I like Bluebird quite a bit, but they haven't really proven that they can do something as important as Silent Hill 2 yet. This is a make it or break it project for them.
It's a remake, though, you know?
It's a remake, but it's a remake of one of the most beloved games of all time. Like they have to do it justice on some level, or they're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Oh god, I was going to say, we don't really know what the trajectory of this game is from a production standpoint. This game could have been in pre-production for like 3 years prior to us even finding out it exists. It could have been in production for a full year. Like, we just don't know how long they've had this project and been working on it. So even if they have been working on the Medium and Blair Witch and all this stuff and this Layers of Fear project, like, they could have been quietly kind of putting lining up all the dominoes needed for this for a long time. So we may never find out. I don't know, but that's also a relevant headline. So thank you for bringing it up. I also want to talk briefly about Atari acquiring Night Dive Studios. What's up with that? That's kind of an interesting acquisition. $10 million, which also seems kind of a small amount for acquiring a studio.
But also, the pandemic hit Atari pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, Night Dive is a smaller studio, and honestly, like, from a cultural standpoint, this seems like a nice fit, I suppose, because, you know, Night Dive is so, like, they are like a studio that is all about trying to modernize older existing games, right? That's their thing. They remaster or remake games, and you know, I don't know if that necessarily is a perfect fit with Atari, but Atari is old.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
As of last year, Night Dive. As of last year, Night Dive employs about 40 people. From what I'm reading,
40 people. That's pretty small.
Well, I mean, they're like, up until System Shock, which they've been working on for fucking ever. They just do like ports and remasters. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much.
A lot of money.
And there's not really much to say there, but it is kind of an interesting development.
Also, the acquisition, it's $10 million, but it's half in cash and half in Atari shares. So, like, that doesn't sound good.
I mean,
why?
I don't.
Like,
are you not putting
for a company that got hit by the pandemic hard?
Are we talking about Atari or Night Dive?
Atari. Like, they made some business ventures that just fell flat because the pandemic hit.
Oh, they were doing like hotels.
They were doing fucking hotels.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, Atari, the modern Atari company, is not the same Atari company that, well, I grew up with.
Yes, that is true.
Grew up with.
I didn't grow up.
But, you know, Night Dive. I think Night Dive Studios is a smart acquisition. I mean, they are they are a smaller studio, but they are a beloved studio at this point, I believe. So, you know,
you can trust them.
You and Krispy definitely seem to think so.
I do. I'm really excited for System Shock. I'm very, very excited for System Shock.
I think you can easily trust Night Dive to do really delicate and quality work to a remaster or remake of a game.
Oh,
but
my God.
I don't know, like a full on big ass remake. Like, System Shock? I don't know. There's
Yeah,
it's hopeful. I'm hopeful, but
I
We'll see.
I I hate to bring it back to Fantasy League, but
It
no,
always
it
comes
doesn't.
back to Fantasy
You
Critic,
don't
man.
feel
What do
bad
you?
about it at all.
at 6:59, I was in PO DMs. I in the last minute of bidding, which this was the last chance to bid because the game comes out next week. I had both bid on and canceled a bid on a game in the last minute.
Well, can you tell us what it is now? I mean, we don't.
Yeah, it was I don't even know what it's called.
Also, like,
It's called the Great War, you know, uh World War One. It's the Great War or something strategy game from
we,
one of them
I'm
strategy
not
game
really sure
developers.
how this was related to the night dive conversation, but whatever.
No,
Fuck it, I don't care.
no.
But is
I,
is that literally
I was so
because you're so
close.
sad
Oh,
that
the
Nolan took Advance Wars?
this is the
No,
project from Petroglyph.
this is a new petroglyph strategy
Yeah.
strategy game, but World War One strategy game. I don't know. Some people seem excited, but it's just so hard to a game can slip right into the
Mhm.
70s so easily.
Hey,
So
there's a World War One game that's coming out that I have my eye on. That I mean, I don't know if it's coming out this year, so
shut the
I
fuck up. Oh, you're talking about
no
the indie pixel game or whatever that you've talked
Conscript,
about
that
a ton of
survival
times on this
horror
podcast.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that
survival
one.
horror
Yeah.
game looks really cool.
Yeah. No, this is like a real grown-ups strategy game.
Oh,
And
I was like, excuse me.
I don't know. He seemed really excited about it, but at the same time, I think he was worried that he was giving me a tip on a game that might not deliver, which is
So he
probably
talked
why
you
he
out of
told
it.
me. He talked me out of it, and I kind of wish he didn't because obviously, I don't think any of y'all would have bid on that, and probably could have got it for $1, which is what my bid was. But I
I
canceled literally in the last 5 seconds.
I wish I would have known about this. I didn't realize it was coming out because
But
I'm serious. Petroglyph is filled with former Westwood people, original Command and Conquer developers. And
Yeah, I know.
over there is my sealed copy of the Command and Conquer remaster.
Remastered, yeah,
Like
which is the last game they did. I know. That's a fucking remaster though, Chris Davis.
it's a really fucking good treatment of it though.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Moving right along, we got some other headlines here I want to talk about. Spider-Man 2 is apparently heavily rumored to be launching in September. And this was actually this was actually kind of a
Candyman himself said it. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's not
the voice
rumored.
actor.
He's the one who said, "Yeah, it's coming out in September, dog." This shit happens all the time from like voice actors and stuff, just because they don't give a fuck.
Also, I
But-
don't think is this literally how we found out that he was the voice of Venom? I mean, maybe it seems like an obvious choice.
Wait, who's the voice of Venom?
Yeah, who is it?
Candyman. I can't remember I don't have his real name listed here, but the actor who plays Candyman. Somebody in chat
Tony
must know.
Todd or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the voice of Venom, which makes total fucking sense.
Venom.
No?
Ugh.
No, that
Crispy-
definitely makes sense.
No, yeah, I mean, sure, but
Tony
Venom,
Todd?
Tony Todd,
Just
Candyman and other horror franchises.
he has a very
He's just-
instantly he has an instantly
Yeah.
recognizable voice.
Yeah.
So he just kind of let it slip in casual conversation on Twitter, I think, that it was coming out in September. And other prominent journalists have been like, I've heard inside, discussion from other sources saying that they're eyeing a September release. Which, interestingly enough, I wouldn't have pegged it for September, but I was certainly expecting like November, December time. But this would put it directly up against Starfield, which I think is kind of an interest. I don't know if that's really gonna.
No, it's not. One's an
No, it's
Xbox
not.
game, one's a PlayStation game. They're both
Yeah.
gonna sell like bonkers. It's
I know.
perfect. Was this our discussion topic? Insomniac? Are they good enough to put out something that is more than just a high 80s? Was that? I feel like this conversation
seemed
had some
mean.
traction. Like they're a solid developer. They put out nice, expensive, polished games, but they're not like, they're not the guy.
I don't know what that means,
They
Brad.
put
I'm
out
gonna be honest.
put out safe games. They put out a really expensive, polished safe game, and then they make it over and over again until they farm it out to someone else. Like that's Insomniac to me. You know, they're not the developer that makes a bunch of that takes a
sounds
bunch
like a
of
lot of the
chances.
industry, dude.
No, but sure, but some are trailblazers, some aren't.
So
Insomniac ain't a fucking trailblazer.
are you literally attacking Insomniac right now because they're not quote unquote
No. I
trailblazers?
think no. Look, I'm not attacking Insomniac so much as people acting like the new Spider-Man movies, new Spider-Man game is going to be like a high scoring, like
Dude, I don't know what.
low to mid 90s game, and it's like, in what world does that game score any better than the last two Spider-Man games? They're not the developer that does some like landmark revolutionary shit with their sequels. That's just
Dude,
not them.
I
think they're
mean,
going to put out another safe Spider-Man game that people are happy
sure.
with, and it's going to score similarly, maybe like a point lower or some shit. It's just they're not the developer that goes from a Arkham Asylum to an Arkham City, or
Sure.
a Dark Souls to an Elden Ring. That's just not Insomniac, and
I think
it's
Fantasy
okay.
Critic thing
It's
is.
fine. I'm not trying to be mean to them, but I'm just saying it's going to be a high 80s.
I mean, but you say that like that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just talking about points.
I know this Fantasy Critic thing has completely broken you, Brad.
No,
Like,
I mean, I do feel that way about Insomniac. They're they'll never be a Naughty Dog. They're
no.
just not the guy.
High 80s though, that's good. Like that.
Yeah.
We should all be so lucky to have high 80 games.
Okay.
No, you're right. I want more. Give me more. I need some
counterpoint,
of my
Brad. Counterpoint. Talking about Spider-Man for a second. Counterpoint. I know that they're going to make a quote unquote safe sequel from maybe kind of a mechanical standpoint, right? But here's the thing: they have introduced Miles Morales in a separate game, and there's going to be some kind of interplay between these two characters, and you're switching back and forth, or maybe even who the fuck knows what they're going to be doing with that kind of like dual
how could they not
situation.
want to do co-op with that experience?
I mean, co-op maybe. I mean, but also just
maybe because they saw everyone's reaction to Suicide Squad, and now they're like, "Oh God, no."
Well, I don't think they're going to be turning Spider-Man into like
we can't have any co-op whatsoever because people will automatically think that it's bullshit.
But here's the thing: I don't think the sequel is going to be necessarily as safe as you assume. I think it has. I think if they could really find some creative ways, some really interesting creative things to do with the Peter Parker and Miles Morales, like having two playable characters and switching back and forth, or even injecting like there are games that allow you to essentially control two characters at once in combat. I'm not sure if that's necessarily what's going to happen here, but like
these motherfuckers made like 18 Ratchet and Clank games.
So and they all scored really well,
and they're
people
all really
liked
games.
them.
I know, but always a high 80, never a 90.
But dude, you said it yourself. Dude, you said it last week yourself. There were only like 11 of those last year total.
I know. I know.
We're at the end of March, and Brad's all hunting for 90s now. When at the beginning of all this, he's all like playing the fucking Billy Bean Moneyball, like I just need people to get on base. Like that 90s is not getting on base. That's like hitting grand slams, dude.
I'm not even talking about that game was drafted in our draft. I'm not talking about picking that up. I was just it was probably just one of those rabble rousers like Scud talking it up in our Discord, and I'm like, it's fine, but it's not going to be like some crazy RE4
but
Zelda.
Here's the thing, though, Brad. I'm sure I'm not alone here when I say that, like, if they made a sequel to that Spider-Man game from 2018, and it was like
they did, it's called
literally
Miles Morales.
Okay, stop it, Brad. If they made a sequel to those two games, and it played exactly the same, but they gave it a whole new story, and they just told a fucking new ass story with those characters, with those like that the writing sensibilities that they had on display in those last two games, a lot of people would be fucking happy. And with Venom, like, people would be fucking happy.
Of course, and it's gonna sell 10 million plus. I get it,
and it's gonna be great, even if it's not groundbreaking.
I'd be disappointed though. Just like I was a little disappointed about Spider-Man in the first place, right? A lot of repetitive.
See, that's where this is coming from.
It's just kind of like
you're just saying you're not as
I mean, are we going to be swinging around New York again?
Yes,
just with like a Venom
Brad.
story.
Because it's what you do in a fucking Spider-Man game. You swing around New York.
So fucking give me that fucking Wolverine game, because a new Spider-Man one ain't that exciting anymore.
I knew the moment I started talking about Spider-Man, this was going to come back around to you just being annoyed about being in New York City again. We need to move. I did not mean for.
You're just gonna swing around a bunch of skyscrapers and go, "Ooh, they're shiny." Look,
It's
man,
what
we've
you
done it a
do in
million
a
times.
Spider-Man
We've
game.
done it. I know, and we've done it a million times. That's why it's not that
Then stop
interesting
bitching
anymore.
because it's gonna be a set in stone thing for like every Spider-Man game ever.
It just ain't
Okay.
that interesting anymore.
Okay,
This
I'm
is
glad you
insane.
got. I'm glad you said your piece, Brad. Let's move on. Jesus Christ.
I
This
mean,
is
I kind of agree with him.
I mean, is it some crazy fucking take?
Mhm.
That's my question.
No.
Well, I'm glad we agree.
Let's move on.
Next up.
I'm leaving. I'm walking out of this place.
Nick, just because you want to swing around New York some more, I'm happy for you. Next,
I don't
what
give a
else we got?
I don't give a shit where it takes place. I'm here for the characters and the story. If it takes place outside of New York City, great. If not, it's not gonna
Look,
move
man,
the needle for me
I
one
think
way or the
story
other.
people will be happy. I'm glad.
Are you though? Are you? All right. Jesus Christ. This next story is pretty small, but I wanted to mention it because I'm personally a fan. But Tarsier, the studio behind Little Nightmares, is teasing their next game. They released a tweet
Big
that
nightmares,
says
right? Big nightmares.
they said the tweet says "New World," emphasis on "new," and it's this like creepy dark shot of someone in a boat, and there's like like a shadow of like a huge mountain kind of just out of the light, so you can't really make out what it is. Um, but it seems like they're sticking to horror, which I think they're really, really good at, and I like their.
But how funny would it be if it was like, we're gonna take over Little Big Planet? You know, just like the opposite of horror.
That'd be something.
I mean, that would be quite the turnaround, considering I don't know. I don't think this tease
I mean,
gives
that game already
any
feels like it was
indication.
built in Little Big Planet.
You're not wrong there.
Hey, they established a formula and an aesthetic style that I think worked really, really well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know
wanna
if they're
see Big
sticking with that.
Nightmares, just because I think that'd be a sick ass title. I think people need to be more more interesting with their titles.
Yeah, sure.
Well, what we do know is that this is decidedly not a Little Nightmares 3.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to emphasize that this is a new IP. So I don't know what it is, but I love this. I love that studio. I love what they've done. So I'm really eager to see what this is. Next, we've talked about it briefly already. I know nothing about Counter-Strike other than it's a shooter. So
Wait, really?
Counter-Strike 2, dude. I'm putting this here almost out of just because I'm obligated to, because this is a video game podcast and they announced Counter-Strike 2 today, and I know that's a big deal. And I know nothing about Counter-Strike.
Sort of, to people who play Counter-Strike. The Counter-Strike is like the most played game in the world. Like,
yes,
by a lot.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. I'm just saying. I personally, I played some Counter-Strike back. I don't fucking know. Yeah, I've played a little bit of Counter-Strike, but
Like on a console.
no, on PC. Like that, I'm pretty sure Counter-Strike was the game that convinced me for years that I hate mouse and keyboard.
That makes sense.
To be fair, that can be a super harsh game.
He got opt one too many times and decided that he wasn't a shooter guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not be wrong. I'm just being open and honest here. I played Counter-Strike back in the day. That was honestly probably before I was even really into games that much. So, it just never took off for me. But I know like you said, it's one of the most popular games in the world. And they announced a sequel today, but we also have alluded to, and maybe someone can enlighten me here a little bit, because we talked about this not necessarily just being a cut and dry sequel. It's something having to do with CS:GO, which I know nothing about.
It's a lot more than that. So they're saying it's going to be a update to CS:GO, but it's basically a gigantic overhaul. CS:GO is built on Source 1. This is a Source 2 game. So this is the second commercial product that Valve has put out that uses Source 2. So most of the maps are getting a fresh polish pass. Some of the maps are getting entire remakes as to how they work.
I looked on Fantasy Critic, and currently the tag is partial remake. No, I mean,
that's not wrong.
Should count. this should count as a bid if it's not.
Quite honestly, I might have to go look at our banned tags.
Well,
in
somebody
Fantasy
put
Critic.
in a
I feel like-
bid, so it's not blocked. But I don't know. I bet there's a lot of debates going on right now. On the
I mean, I wasn't
Fantasy
sure
Critic
whether you
Discord.
would call Counter-Strike 2 an early access thing or not, because they're going to have to continue to updating it. Another thing about one of the most hyped aspects of this update to CSGO, now CS2, is volumetric voxel-based smoke. So part of the meta, one of the huge parts of the meta of a Counter-Strike match is throwing smoke grenades out to create cover as you cross different lanes and stuff like that. But it was all just like a static screen that goes up, right? Just volumetric smoke that you can't interact with. This time, it's voxel-based real particles that you can interact with. So when you shoot through it, it creates like a little puff hole where your bullet went. Or when you throw a grenade in it, it will blow away the smoke. And the smoke, when you throw it and it drops out, it deploys, it fills the area in which it's thrown out. It functions like real smoke. It looks really fucking cool. They've just changed the whole dynamic of a major gameplay aspect.
that sounds cool. I'm just
you gotta see it. You gotta look up that trailer and see the video.
I'll watch the trailer. Of that, I have no. I know it's a big deal, and I know Counter-Strike just in general is a big deal, and I feel like people have been kind of talking about Counter-Strike 2 for ages, and now it's happening, and it's coming out in the summer. But the more we talk about it here, the more I'm like, well, this does sound kind of like a. I mean, somebody in chat, I lost track, said that this is just replacing CS:GO, which that's just one way of saying. But they're just
people gonna review this.
It's the
I don't know.
the Overwatch 2.
I mean, I guess
is it Overwatch 2? This someone said in chat said Overwatch 2 was actually more of a thing than this.
I mean, Overwatch 2 was meant to be a whole separate product from Overwatch 1, but then because they couldn't deliver on their PvE aspect, they decided to just shut down Overwatch 1 and move everyone over to 2 no matter what. So
but that was always what was going to happen with the PvP aspect of Overwatch. Like everything that they added, even when we thought that Overwatch 2 was launching as like a complete product with PvE and PvP, they said that Overwatch 1 was still going to just adapt to be whatever Overwatch 2 PvP was.
Yeah.
So that was always going to be like this wholesale like update that was going to be set on top of Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that they're doing with Counter-Strike Go.
Are they adding new maps? Is there like a dust? What dust are they on now? Are they on Dust 6 or?
No, they've got Dust 1, 2, and I think there was like a pseudo Dust that also got made. That's a whole other conversation.
Chris Davis is totally himself as the bidder here.
I'll say if this is if there's no Dust 3, then it doesn't count.
Whatever. I think there is a Dust 3. Does that help you?
There's got to be a new Dust. Got to be Dust 4.
The other big thing. The other big thing about this update, if it's called an update, I mean, the scale just feels so weird to me, is that they're completely changing their server access with the game. Previously, it was known as using ticks, so there were, I think, 128 ticks per second, and the server would denote your actions and the other player's actions in a certain tick count. But that did not take into account really. It moved the next action happened at the next tick, in other words. So, but there could be like a millisecond difference between when you pressed a button and when the server actually pushed the update. So like I push a button, 3 milliseconds later, it actually fires the bullet, right? What they're doing is they're rehauling how that architecture works to where it's sub-tick. So every single thing that happens...
Ticks here?
Can I ask a question? Do you play Counter-Strike?
No.
Okay.
I haven't played Counter-Strike in probably 10 years.
Same with all of us. Let's we're getting way too much into the weeds for a game none of us play.
I understand that, but there are people that are listening to this that might want to know this shit, okay? I'm just saying
people who care what about they're doing know about it.
what they're doing with the server architecture is actually really important for multiplayer. Especially if this technology branches out and is adopted by other developers. Like the idea
It's
of
the
when
rollback
you press a
netcode of
button, it
shooters.
actually happening. Like that's a big deal.
Sure. Let's just keep an eye, because this is going to be really interesting to see like how this is kind of like received from a critical standpoint when this game comes out. Like how are people going to treat this as a new game? I don't fucking know. It's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah, we pretty much only care about this from the Fantasy Critic angle. Let's just be real here.
I disagree with you there. Like
Uh,
this is a big fucking deal. This is absolutely a huge deal.
I mean, I believe you. That's
They
why I
did
put it on
two
this
on
list.
there.
That's why I did put it on this list, because this is such a big deal that even though we don't normally talk about this kind of thing, it seems like we're kind of we're obligated to at least mention it, because that's what we do here, and this is a huge deal. But there'll be other opportunities to talk about it, especially because it's coming out
Also a
fairly
huge
soon.
deal. Also in the news. And excuse me while I get into the nitty gritty. Wargroove 2 was announced. And this
True,
is a big deal.
I mean, it's
I'm
only
just
a big
kidding.
deal, but
I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you. But it's cool. It's coming out.
Wargroove 2 was announced.
Yeah.
There's like a demo out now. So
yeah,
like,
the demo's out, and you didn't put a bid in on it.
Is this putting? Well, I mean, it's not coming out next week, so I wouldn't have to. But I wonder if this actually does hit this year. This is weirdly fast.
Okay.
For a sequel.
Last news topic before we move on. I want to talk about Redfall previews here in just a second. But last news, I put this in here the last thing because I thought it was kind of interesting. But they had kind of teased a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game today, based off of. I actually don't. Paramount Global, I think, is the company that was actually name dropped in the.
They didn't name a developer.
They didn't name a developer or the publishing group for the actual game itself. I don't know, but apparently there is a adaptation of the Last Ronin graphic novel in development, which is heavily influenced by God of War 2018, which is weird and crazy kind of exciting. But like, I looked at it, I don't know much about the graphic novel other than it centers around one of the turtles.
Splinter calls Splinter and Leonardo, and he's like, it was Leonardo as a boy, and Splinter goes around calling him.
No,
I guess he couldn't say boy, right? Because he's a turtle, but you know.
My understanding of the story is that it's like years in the future, and
everybody's
three of
dead.
the turtles have died.
Yeah, so you're playing.
I could see. You know who I could see as the developer on this? Monolith.
Ooh, yeah. Actually, that would make a lot of sense.
No, it's not gonna be Monolith because they're working on Wonder Woman.
Oh my God, you're right. I forgot that existed.
Oh, are they making a Wonder Woman game?
They announced that.
Oh, DC's
also
stupid. Or those people,
also,
the people who run DC are stupid.
Monolith is also big enough they could be working on two projects. And technically, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is part of the DC universe.
When did we last hear? Is that what is that?
No,
I think that's
wait.
true.
Don't.
Not even close.
No, you're completely wrong.
Haven't there been DC comic books where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have shown up?
Yeah,
there
was a crossover with TMNT and Batman, but I mean,
so they're. It was a loose connection. I'm not saying they're literally part of the DC universe, but a precedent has been set.
If you want to set them in one of the big two publisher universes, they actually are more of a Marvel thing, but whatever.
Technically, yeah.
With the closest they've come though is
I'm only reaching here because of the
didn't
Monolith
they have
thing,
Ninja Turtles in like one of the Nether Realms?
Yeah. Mortal Kombat 11, they were DLC.
Mortal Kombat.
There you go. That's and isn't that basically DC at this point?
6 degrees of Ed Boon. I don't know.
Mortal Kombat and Batman like kiss, right?
This is so like. I think it's really funny that Nick that this is on his radar. Nick's in Discord messaging me being like, "Oh, have you read this comic? This is
because
it's the dark because it's like the dark gritty version of TMNT."
Hey, but here's the thing, Krispy. The word AAA was thrown out, and all bets are off. You know, we have
AAA and God of
we
War.
now have a dream level quality Harry Potter game, right?
This
So
isn't.
what if
This is like.
everyone chases that trend and turns their IP into a big
This is.
AAA dream game?
That's not like a thing. The comic, like, it was a limited series that IDW published 3 years ago. Like
Oh.
this isn't like some classic TMNT story or anything. Like
Yeah.
I think the thing that's most significant about it is that it was the original two creators writing it, but because I don't think they'd done Turtle stuff for a while, but yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't like.
Admittedly,
What?
yes.
Like, what
it's
is
weird.
this? Who cares? Like,
It's weird that it's on my radar, and I only
Well, there's
added.
not many good Turtles games.
I literally added it to this list
it's The
because
Last of Us meets Cyberpunk meets.
you know what I like?
TMNT.
You know what I like? Game announcements. Okay, that's why I put it
I
on this
know,
list.
I know.
That was
You're a
interesting.
fucking sucker for marketing, and it's really
No,
frustrating.
No, stop it.
He's
There's not been a
shaming me.
good Ninja Turtles game that wasn't a fucking like 90s style brawler, 80s, 90s style brawler. So like, you know, it would be nice. That Platinum Turtles game was a train wreck, right? And there's been a million train wreck Turtles games
It
over the
would be,
years.
yeah, it would be
Just like
nice
there's been a
for
million
people.
shitty Harry Potter games over the
It
years.
would be nice for people who like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like,
Which is
what
everybody.
the fuck is Nick doing here?
Hey man, you act like I haven't never like watched or enjoyed.
I
used to
know
be
you have,
Donatello is the
because
Smurfy.
it was like a monolith of pop culture when we were children. Like, I get it, but I mean, like, the whole situation just seems weird and
Yeah. Do
like
you
big
even watch
nothing burger to me.
TMNT Rebels? You know, are you a real fan?
No,
Man.
actually, probably
I'm not
By-
saying I'm not a real fan. I probably had hundreds of dollars in TMNT action figures when I was a kid, and I'm not a real fan. Like who the fuck is? Like,
Krispy,
I don't know.
just so you know, I only posed that question to you in Discord earlier not because of the TMNT thing.
You had a
or
lot
because
of ooh, what's this? This is on my radar today. Like,
I was putting together notes for the show. I was trying to find interesting conversation topics to talk about on the show. That's what I do. I'm the host, motherfucker. I asked you because you have an extensive knowledge of graphic novels and like comic books and stuff. So I was wondering if you knew anything about it. And you know what? You just proved that you do.
Novels.
You do know what I'm talking about here.
I don't. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, fuck me. Let's move on.
Fuck you, Nick.
Tell me about
Me.
Redfall.
Stay in your fucking lane.
All right, I want to close out this segment today by talking a little bit about Redfall previews because Redfall has been a game that's obviously been on our radar for quite a while, but there's been a lot of questions about it, like what the fuck is this game? It's an Arcane game. It's being developed by Arcane Austin, but this week a bunch of preview coverage dropped. They did an event in Los Angeles about 2 weeks ago, and the previews that were generated by that event are finally out. I don't know how much of that y'all have been paying attention to, but it's been a big topic of conversation in our own Discord, so I wanted to at least mention it. And it has been a game from the very beginning because it was kind of announced as like a 4-player co-op game, and then it became obvious that it was going to be to some extent like a games as a service game, and then people kind of started likening it to like Left 4 Dead or Borderlands or something along those lines. And I think a lot of people have a hard time, myself included, kind of what's the word? Coming to terms with like Arcane crossing over with like that style of game. And we had a lot of questions, and I feel like a lot of those questions to some extent have been answered this week. You know, some people may be more satisfied than others with what we have learned about it. But a couple things that I thought were really interesting about this event, one of which being the event that they did, it was single player only. The entire thing was centered around single player. Nobody touched co-op. Which could be interpreted in a number of different ways, I suppose. Brad, do you have a thought about that?
Of course he does.
Well, I don't know. It's easier to do. I mean, okay, obviously my whole thing is about the narrative of this game. When it's revealed, everyone's like, "Oh, they're making Left 4 Dead with zombies. I mean, with vampires." And then people are like, "Oh, I guess it's a games as a service game. This doesn't seem very arcane." And ever since then, Arcane's been like, "No, it's cool. You'll like it. You'll like it. You like Prey. You like Dishonored. You'll like this too. You'll like it. It's like one of our games. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. You could play it single player. You totally can." And then it's like, there's all this other information that's coming. It's like, oh, it's always online, and it just like every time they show it, it's a co-op game. It was like the reveal of the game was a cinematic trailer that was very kind of like
Borderlandsy
for like Borderlandsy or whatever, right? So it's not surprising that people thought that, but it seems like they've been backpedaling and trying to appease Arcane fans, of which they're immersive sim fans, right? They're not used to. I mean, this is not the kind of game they quote unquote sign up for necessarily, and I don't know. It's just been a weird thing of like maybe Arcane should just embrace what it actually is, because it's probably not as like what the game actually is not like a bad thing. It doesn't come off as like super games as a servicey. It comes off a little bit like Far Cry, co-op Far Cry, but with vampires made by Arcane, which is cool. But like, just fucking say that. Stop trying to convince us that if we like Prey, we're gonna like this thing. I get it. There's still going to be notes and shit to pick up, but it still does not seem like an intricate immersive sim. It seems like a game you play with your friends and have a good time and shoot some vampires. It seems kind of Borderlandsy, seems kind of Far Cry-y, but those games are really popular and they sell way better than Arcane's other games. So just shut the fuck up and stop backpedaling and just.
Here's the thing, because I interpret this totally differently, because I know, and this is why I think it's interesting, because a lot of people kind of had their eyes on this preview. I mean, first of all, I want to say, like, a lot of the preview coverage that came out this week has been surprisingly positive. I thought it was going to be way more divisive, but a lot of it seems very positive. Take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, it's a press event. We know how those things go. But the fact that they presented this whole thing as a single player only demo. They kind of talked and alluded to. They were pretty open. They were kind of an open book about like how co-op works, but they were not going to let anybody have hands-on with co-op. It seems like they wanted to, and this is to speaking to your point about them wanting to kind of reassure fans of Arcane games that this can be played as a single-player game and that you can enjoy it like a traditional Arcane game. Like, to me, that is more than anything what I wanted to hear. Like, I look at this press event, I see the positive reactions in this press event, and to me, that, because I almost had no intention from the very beginning of ever playing this game co-op, outside of maybe doing like a multiplayer night with you guys or something. But like, before they let the press play this game, the creative director even came out and was like, look, we know when you play a co-op game, no matter what it is, there's a certain amount of immersion you're sacrificing to do that. And we want to make sure that people understand that you can play this game and still still become immersed, still enjoy like the lore and the world and all of that stuff that people typically associate with Arcane games. Go ahead.
But I think to that point, I feel like it's weird because I feel like they're so convincing the Knicks that this is still for them, that they're pitching a game that's probably less fun than the actual game they made, which is a game that's meant to be played with other people. I think they're convincing
the opposite of that
to play the less fun version of this game. They
the
designed
last time
these abilities to be played in co-op. It's
the last
not
time we saw this game. The last time we heard anything about this game. Mm-hmm. The big question was, can you even progress the story in co-op? Like co-op was already being, yeah, exactly. There was a question about whether or not people who were co-oping with a host would also receive story progress. This is like there was already a question of like co-op kind of being this like other side of the game, like this other kind of like side feature of the game. The discussions we were having about this game yesterday are so fucking infuriating because it's just making me feel like fucking Deathloop all over again. Like they're sitting there telling us stuff about the game. People aren't listening to it, and then they're going like, "Well, what? Like, how come this before? How come they never explained that this is what it is before?" I
It's a
think, I
weird game
think,
to.
I think, like your characterization of like what this game actually is wrong, and
Wait,
I
who are you
think
talking to? Me or Brad?
Brad. I think it's incorrect. I think that they've been pretty explicit about that for a while now,
Wait, but
and like
what
this
part?
this
Like, what is this
assumption
game?
this assumption that like it can't be an immersive sim, that like it like that is out of the question. It's not gonna be an arcane game because there might be a co-op feature in the game, you know, like is absurd.
No, I mean, I'm basing this on what I like when this shit dropped the other day. I watched a bunch of that stuff, and then went back and I rewatched like all the old footage for this game, and I'm just not seeing like it. What I'm seeing is not something that looks like Prey, like that level design that I'm gonna sneak through a vent and hack something. It's not. I didn't see an immersive sim.
I listened to
What
3
what are you
interviews.
seeing that
I
is
listened.
so like not that though? I mean, the whole thing is like
It's
an open
it's like
world. It's like two cities in an open world.
it
Like
looks like an open world
how
game.
is there
Yeah,
not
it
like
looks like an open world game, but
well, what the
immersive.
fuck is?
No, like it looks like a Far Cry game to me. It looks like go to this place and like take out this camp of vampires.
It does
It looks like
not.
that type of game.
But like, why can't those two things be blend? Like, why can't those meld together?
Yeah.
Like
So
that's.
so so what is that then? Like, what is
I
the
mean,
melding of those
It
two?
doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look like Far Cry map design at all.
to me, this looks to me like a relatively small open world with lots of interior environments that can be accessed in a multitude of different ways. Like I've listened to
But
3 interviews this
that's
week
not
where
what
they
they've been
talk.
showing.
They do. I listen.
Dude, that's not what they've been showing though. Like, what are you talking about?
like they've talked about how there's going to be lots of locations around this place where you're like, I want to get in there and see what's going on there, but like the way to there's no one way to access this place, but you have to use the environment, you have to use your abilities, you have to figure out
You know what
different
it
ways
is?
to access
It's
these
I
the
don't know.
things.
Maybe
terminology they're using. It's the terminology. Everything they describe feels like a type. Like this is one of many of these things that you find in this world. Like this, like they're describing it as not like bespoke things, but like a type of thing or situation
dude.
or event or type of mission you do. You go to this type of thing to fight this type of group of monsters. Like they're using a lot of like A's and I don't know how to describe it, but
What?
like that terminology seems different. It
I
seems
I
different
mean,
I don't
that
know
just
what
sounds
you're
like a
talking
video
about.
game to
because
me.
it feels like it's built to like be a lot of like repeatable mission typey stuff, which is
Mm,
not what
I don't
like
know.
Prey is or Dishonored is. It's just not.
I
okay.
like
Well,
Which is
this seemed
fine. The
more
point is it's
the,
fine.
no, but like I don't even understand like what I don't understand what the threshold is. I don't like maybe I don't know what an immersive sim is. I guess I don't
You
fucking
don't.
know. Like yeah, maybe I fucking don't because like it seems like every time we try to lock down what that even fucking means, like you've got some other kind of like excuse about like oh well it's not this, it is this, but this doesn't look like it. Like
You're the one who bid on System Shock.
dude, I mean, yeah, right? Like fuck me, I guess. I don't fucking know, man. Like this game looks like it looks like they're doing something like what Dishonor would be, except taking the level-based system out of it, where you have discrete maps for each individual mission and just kind of like throwing them together in a big open world and you're moving between them kind of seamlessly, doing different things. And honestly, that sounds crazy exciting. And I don't really understand where you
What do you think
lose
a team like like
I don't
like
really like where the
they
fuck do
have
you
they have
lose
loot
the
with rarity values and fucking
oh my god, I know like that's what it is, right? We see numbers and we just lose
oh
our
no,
fucking
okay,
mind
you can't just
nowadays.
hand wave all the other shit I said because I brought up fucking rarity and like power levels and stuff. But I'm
What
saying like if you're hanging out with dudes and you're doing things to like get this shit, it has to be like designed as like this repeatable thing, and that's not you know I'm trying to like imagine
Or,
like
or like Dying Light, it has no elements of like immersive sim in it whatsoever. Because
okay,
honestly, that's the
maybe, but
closest comparison
like
I can come
okay,
up with right
no,
now.
fucking sure, but like if you're telling me this is much more close to like a vampire Dying Light, then I'll be like, okay, but I don't think Dying Light is what fucking the kind of game Arcane made before. But I like Dying Light. Give me a vampire Dying Light made by Arcane. I'm happy with that, and
Yeah,
I think
I
if they
think we're
told people
operating.
that that's what this
I don't know,
was,
man.
people would be excited.
I think we're just operating with these really weirdly specific definitions of like what this
But
or
like
that is, and like I don't know, man.
immersive
Like
sim is a weird genre, genrefied by, but like the people who
I
like
mean,
and
I'm
play
saying
these
you
games
don't
are
like
like weird fucking nerds, and
the
they
last
want
fucking
a specific
showcase game.
thing.
There wasn't even like there was a discussion of like whether or not playing this thing co-op was even like what anyone wanted to do because we couldn't progress the story mode in it. Like, how do we go from that to like, oh my god, this is a co-op games as a service game? Like, that doesn't make any
I
fucking
didn't say
sense.
games as a service. I didn't say games as a
You
service.
kind of
That's a
you
very
said
different
games as a
thing.
service. You did say that.
That was what people were worried that it was going to be. Obviously, I don't think they're leaning too hard into that gross stuff.
We
I don't
we
But
know.
there's a
probably
very different
I don't
difference
know, man.
between a co-op
This is
game.
fucking Deathloop all over again. Like, it's just such a frustrating
No, but
conversation.
it's funny you bring up Deathloop because like maybe I can make an analogy where where it, as far as like what's going on and the message from Arcane, because I feel like they're so scared that people aren't going to like that Arcane fans, immersive sim fans, are not going to like their game, that they're not really celebrating like what's unique about it. And then which I think in the terms of Deathloop was the multiplayer. And I feel like when that game actually came out, that was the stuff where everyone's like, you know what, actually, this multiplayer shit is the cool shit, right? Like that's the shit people got hooked on when everybody went into that game really wanting to play just like a fucking, you know, an immersive sim with a time loop, right? Like they like a lot of people went in expecting never to even touch that multiplayer because Arcane convinced us that you don't have to touch multiplayer. You could just play it like an immersive sim. But
so
that's the
one
shit
thing.
that
Dude,
I think that helped that game really
Okay,
stand out, and that's what I'm saying. Arcane
okay,
is cutting off their own nose to whatever.
okay. We probably need to move on, but I haven't
I
even been
can't
able
wait
to
for
kind
that
of
game
like.
to come out. I can't wait for that game to come out so we can
I mean,
revisit this discussion because I think you like have lost the plot.
okay, let's we're gonna move on. But one element that that I see with Redfall that like one of the that I think makes it kind of a that where the creativity that is kind of definitive or that it defines an Arcane game to me is like the synergy between abilities and finding creative ways uh to solve puzzles or in this case engage in combat, because being vampires you can't kill them except by beheading them or staking them in the heart or like burning them with sunlight, right? So like all of your like to me a lot of what I'm seeing is like finding creative like, and these things move like the different enemy types, a lot of them move very quickly. They some of them fly, like it's crazy. So like a lot of the creativity and the exciting shit for me is like how do you close the gap but and get close enough to your enemy to stake them in the heart and deliver the killing blow. Like that to me is like what I'm probably the most excited about with this game. But I'm seeing stuff about this open world, and I'm hearing people talk about it, and to me, I'm picturing Far Cry not necessarily because of the world design, but because of how they talk about co-op and how I think about my first experience playing Far Cry 5 co-op, and it was like it was fun, but like I did it for like once or twice, and then I never touched it again because I was only progressing my story, and that's what that sounds like here. And honestly, that to me was kind of a bummer from a co-op perspective because like trying to find people you're going to play with, but you know like those people know that when they play with you, they're not going to be only thing they're keeping is like the experience. They're not progressing their storyline at all, so it's weird. And there's a lot of people getting up in arms about the fact that there's no um, matchmaking or anything in this game too, which is kind of strange. It all to me it all screams
Wait,
co-op is
is it
kind of
though?
the secondary experience. Like Maybe I'm wrong.
Like, is it odd that they're not adding matchmaking in a co-op game where most instances of people playing a co-op game is to play with their friends?
To me, that's why it doesn't seem weird to me, because like I would never play a game like this with matchmaking. I would never just be like, pair me up with 3 randos and let's go. Like, I would only play this game co-op if I was playing with people I know that I knew I wanted to play this game with. But I can see why people might be upset about it. But everything to me is screaming like this has more arcane DNA in terms of being like single player centric than we ever originally expected.
You just said like first and foremost.
I think first and foremost, I am more determined than ever.
Reveal of this game? What
yes,
it was?
No, absolutely.
A huge cinematic
yes.
trailer of a bunch of dudes using powers together and stuff. Like that's your initial cinematic trailer is your pitch. This is what you say. This is how. This is a developer saying this is what our game is.
That's why I've been nervous about it since the beginning. But like now we're getting close to release, and they're shifting the narrative, which is
what I'm saying. But
maybe this game has a bit of an identity crisis. But all I can tell you is that they had a preview event this week. Everybody only played single player, and a lot of what came out of that was very positive. Even people who I've listened to a lot of people talk about this who are excited by the prospect of playing a co-op game, but walked away from this saying this is a fun single player experience, and that's what I wanted to hear more than anything about this game.
I think if you played this game with like one other person, you would have a gay old time.
I'm sure co-op's fun, but like, I'm gonna be honest, and this may never happen again, but I played Borderlands 1 all the way through from beginning to end by myself, and it was my game of the year that year. Like, I'm not saying this is going to be that situation all over again, but like, weirder things have happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, that game's coming out in like
a month. You can absolutely play this game by yourself.
That game is coming out in a month, and we'll have our answers. So let's just move
on. At least it's not like Suicide Squad where you have to play with bots if you're going to play by yourself.
See, that's another kind of distinguishing factor here. Like I feel like if this was meant to be played co-op, they would be throwing bots in there to play with you when you're playing by yourself. But that's not what's happening.
There's multiple flavors of co-op, right? I mean,
sure. I'm no co-op expert.
It's weird to force bots. It's weird to force bots.
Okay, let's. Sorry, got a little intense there. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Diablo 4, Tchia, Exoprimal, and of course wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere.
Short
we'll be right
break.
Back.
Why?
Welcome back to the show.
Tchia. Tell us about Tchia.
Well, I was going to talk about Diablo, but you're right. Maybe it'd be a good idea to like ease into something a little.
Yeah, we'll all chill out with some.
A little happier.
So everybody just get into a zen place. We'll talk about Tchia for a bit. Tchia dropped this week. We talked about this during the Fantasy Critic thing. This is one of the games that Chris Davis drafted, or picked up, I suppose. And we've seen this game a few times. I know. You said it yourself. Everything goes back. It's hard to turn that part of my brain off. But Tchia is a open world sandbox. Honestly, maybe the sandbox aspect of it is like the most. It's like the most literal interpretation of like a sandbox I think I've seen in quite some time, because I feel like I'm playing this game and it is pure sandbox. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing in this game. I'm just like running around.
It's a cozy Breath of the Wild, and with a lot of heart and maybe not a lot of depth. But it is a delight.
It's a delight. It's developed by a small studio, and it's a love letter to, what's the name of the island? So
New Caledonia.
New Caledonia. Right? It's like, it's a love letter to at least some of the developers are from New Caledonia, and they are. Wait, go ahead.
I was going to say, the co-founders are from New Caledonia.
Yeah,
the game was actually developed in France.
So it's developed from France, but it's a love letter to this island that they called home. And it has this kind of like I don't know what do you want, like I part of me wants to be like kind of like Pixar-y, maybe not Pixar, maybe that's
It's
not the right
no,
word.
the answer is this is them making a Wind Waker like, but with pseudo Breath of the Wild elements.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, a lot of the characters look very kind of like
Pseudo?
Wind Waker, but kind of like the like the main mechanic of this game is that the Tchia, the little girl that you play as, can soul jump. She can literally jump into any. Honestly, I thought it was just like animals and living creatures, but you can jump into anything like rocks and
I mean,
like
the first cutscene of the game where she like
or
transforms into a machete to slash some dude's face.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Which honestly was kind of a really cool way of kind of like introducing this notion of like, okay, just so you know, it's not all animals. Like you can be creative about like what you jump into. Um, it's interesting,
Well,
and
creative. They, hey, you know what I thought about Chia when I first started seeing all these videos saying this is what Chia is all about? It's like this looks like a really cool. The reason I didn't bid on this game, if you will, is because it seemed like a game
you said it this time, not
with a
me.
lot of cool like mechanics and physics, but then like that was pretty much it. It's like, well, I was like, okay, this is stuff seems neat, but like, really, how much of the how much out there is there? Like, is it going to get old fast? Like, how is that going to be rolled out? And and while I do enjoy all of those like mechanics and systems, like you could just backflip anytime you want in midair, like I really enjoy all that stuff. But it is sort of what I feared it might be, and that's not necessarily a problem, but it's that they give you pretty much all of these abilities and stuff right away, and you're just sort of exploring the world with them. But it seems very the reason it feels so light and breezy is because it doesn't feel very like
Pointed like I don't.
tightly designed in terms of the way you
It's
know
loosey goosey in its
it's
design.
loose. It's not just the way it like plays and controls, but more that like the shit's just kind of spread out. It's just kind of there. Like nothing feels very balanced, right? Like relatively early on in the game, because you get like you could play songs almost like an ocarina, right?
Right.
And you get the
You play with a
ability,
ukulele.
or let's say really early in the game, you get the ability to like soul jump into things, right? But like you can also just like soul jump into a bird like right away, and it's like, well, I kind of wish maybe they waited a little bit for to let me soul jump into a bird or
'Cause
something,
that like opens up the
because
world
it's like, why
ridiculously.
would I ever need to
I
be a
mean,
rock when
I
I
mean,
can
it,
just jump into a bird, which lets me fly anywhere in the world and get anywhere I want?
but
And
there's
it's
a
like
cost
that
to
that
what you're doing.
feels, but there's a cost, but it's not much of a cost. I'm saying that it doesn't feel like there's like a steady sense of progression with these abilities. Like I already got the ability to just summon a bird anytime I want. That already breaks any sense of like progression in the game, really. That feels like something I should get. Like when Nick played fucking Horizon and he gets the ability to fly very late in the game. This feels like if they gave you that at the very start of the game and said, well, there's still cars too. Why don't you go drive a car? Well, I don't need to because I could just fly on a robot dinosaur. It feels a little bit like that. Almost like in Saints Row 4, how you can still drive cars, which seems insane, right? In Saints Row 4, the one where you have superpowers and you can basically just fly, it feels a little bit like that. In terms of like how just do whatever you want the design is.
Which
I
is
think
kind of
that's
which is
fine because the vibes are nice, because the things that you are able to do are really enjoyable. But I can
I don't know
summon a
if
bird and fly anywhere. I don't need to bounce off a
yeah,
tree anymore. Does that
I
make
don't
sense?
know, I don't know. You're right. I think that's a very
It's
important
not, I'm
distinction to
not even
make
being
because
negative about it. It's just that I think that's what gives it like what Nick said, kind of a sandbox feel as opposed to something that feels very tightly made like a Breath of the Wild,
the
right?
carrot
Which is very
is
open, but you feel like the design is on every inch of the world.
they
But
don't
here it
dangle the
just seems
carrot long
like
enough.
it just
Yeah.
seems very free form, and You
So
know, just
so as as
yeah.
as kind of an example, so like a lot of the a lot, if not all of the things or creatures that you can jump into have like a single ability tied to like the R2 button, shoulder button, right?
Yeah.
Some of the and like for some of them serve purposes, some of them seemingly don't. I don't know. Maybe the fact that birds can poop on demand will serve a purpose at some point. I don't know. But like when you jump into a bird, it says press R2 to poop, and you can just rattle off poop for whatever reason. But like there are other things that have more function to them. But yesterday I was playing and I was like the very top of a mountain because I flew up there as a bird, right? And I was like, I see something off in the distance, and I was like, I want to get to that, but like, I don't have enough stamina to like hold on to my because you have like the what do you call it, the parachute thing from Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
Parachute.
The glider, right? So like, I don't have enough stamina to like go all the way down there because I only have like 20 seconds or whatever of stamina. It's gonna run out. I'll fall to my death. But then I jumped into a rock, and I was like, well, I'm a rock now, so like I could just tumble down this
Tumble down the
mountain
road,
without
yeah.
taking any. And I did that, and I was like, that's fucking cool. But then I was like, back up on the top of the mountain 2 seconds later because I did the thing at the bottom, and then I jumped into a bird and I flew back up to the top, and it just kind of like
Yeah, like
it kind of
what does a
cheapened
climbing
the.
system matter, right? Like when you can just fly.
But at the same time, the sense of exploration is still really good because like I found like a little underwater cave, and I dove down into the cave, and I have limited breath, right? I'm swimming down to the bottom of the cave. I'm shining my flashlight, exploring this big cavern. I find this like uh treasure chest or whatever, treasure chest. I can't say that fucking word. Treasure chest, and I open it, and I get a new ability that I can use my ukulele with, which gives me like a bubble around my head that I have infinite breath.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like,
Ooh.
I can now summon that anytime I want, and I can go diving in the ocean without having to
But
worry about holding my breath.
do you see how that breaks? I mean, it it doesn't break it. Look, I'm playing this shit. Henry's
It's a
playing this shit.
sandbox.
We're having a fucking delightful time. Like the vibes are good. There's a lot of heart here. You know, you can tell that the developer really cares about some of like the cultural details of the stuff on this island, and that
Right, right,
you
right.
feel that, and that's cool. And I love that. Like this is a very nice vibey game, but like for example, the little bandit camps of bad guys, every single one has gas cans and lanterns, and you dispatch them the exact same way every single time. It just
Yeah.
seems very shallow and like, well, what are we even doing here?
I mean,
And it's fine, but
it's an
I'm just
enemy that's made of cloth. Okay, so what do you do
I
with
know.
cloth? You burn it. So, but
No, I get it.
there are other ways that you can do it that you earn later in the game. You just got
But
to
every
progress the
single
story.
camp is just a few cloth dudes, a few lanterns, a few gas cans,
Because this
and you
game
do
isn't
it.
supposed to be a combat game.
I
Okay,
know, but I'm saying like this is what gives it the it's a very relaxed whatever feel, and not like a
It's not an immersive sim.
yeah. Well, it's certainly not
Jesus.
that.
and
Um,
Chris Davis, don't,
but
don't get bent out of shape about that because this like the little camps seem completely unnecessary. It's not
yeah,
what I'm here for. You said it yourself. It's not a
Yeah.
combat game. Like, why even include it? It's just a strange choice. It doesn't. It's not
or
offensive.
make
It's
it
just kind of
deeper.
weird. Yeah. I mean, if they really wanted to do to like
They give you a
if
lot
they
of
were dead set
tools,
on
but
doing this
they
kind of
don't
thing,
give
they
you a
could've made
lot
it.
of things. They give you a lot of cool and fun tools, but they don't really like create a lot of resistance, or like they don't present a lot of things to utilize those tools in an interesting way, as opposed to something like Breath of the Wild, which is constantly doing that every 2 feet, right? Like this just seems like, I mean, it seems like a sandbox, like Nick said, but a nice one.
Chris Davis is making a face, but
You're
he's not
making
like
fart. You've been making a fart face this entire conversation, so
I mean,
take it away.
it's
take the
let
mic.
me get some words in. I have been really enjoying my time with it. I've put about 8 hours into it thus far. I've been progressing the story, getting through that, getting new abilities.
Can I ask a question about that?
Go ahead.
I've been trying to kind of like. I mean, I've only played like 2 to 3 hours of this so far, and a lot of it's just been kind of dicking around, exploring the sandbox. But like,
Yeah.
I'm very confused about how the map works, and when I open the map, I can't find myself half
You're
the
not
time.
supposed
even though
to.
there's a-
That's all, they do that on purpose. But
Yeah,
but
you're not
again,
supposed
it's
to.
such a half measure, right? Like it's a cool idea to like have a map system that doesn't tell you where you are, because it's like, okay, well, use landmarks, maybe triangulate, use your compass. But at the same time, it's very kind of sloppy with the way it handles it. Like, for example, when you're on your boat, you can always see your boat on the map. Or when you put a pin on the map, you can always see the pin, and you can always see the pin on your compass. And it's like, well, if you really want them to commit to the figuring out your just where you are in the world by looking at the world around you, why are you also putting in these things that completely undermines that? It's like, I
Because
Okay.
get what you're
accessibility. Not
trying to
everyone
do,
wants to
but
do that.
okay,
okay,
let's.
but it
Okay,
just feels like a weird half measure where they didn't pull off either of them. You know
all
what
right.
I
I
mean?
I want to make sure.
disagree.
I want to give it back to Chris Davis for a second. I only asked that because you mentioned the story, and I was like, I've been trying to figure out like how do I progress the story because I can't find my objectives because I don't know where the fuck I am.
Well,
But that
it's
answers my question.
you just look at your map and you'll find the letters of characters' names, and those are the main missions. You just
And
go
then
over
I
there, they'll
use
give you a
use my
task, you'll do it,
compass.
you come
Like
back.
GTA.
Like it
If it was
really
an
is kind of
accessibility
inspired like
thing,
GTA that way. Yeah.
if it was an accessibility thing, then they should give you the option to turn on your character's icon. You know what I mean? Or the ability to turn off your boat icon. But it's sort of like this weird blend that makes neither satisfying, in my opinion.
I
All
just
right, keep
disagree
going,
with
Chris
you there.
Davis.
Anyway, like I said, I've progressed about 8 hours. I'm going through the story. I would have to assume I'm close to the halfway point at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And just like going out and exploring this world, especially when you just go out and start searching islands and then finding wrecks, ships out at sea that are wrecks and just exploring within those. And
I haven't spent enough time outside of like the off like I haven't spent enough time with my boat. Probably I've been spending a lot of time on like the mainland or the main big island, I guess.
there are multiple islands, and more that you discover as part of the story, more that you discover that are just kind of out there in the world because they can be.
Little Wind Waker in there.
Yeah, God, this game is so much Wind Waker. Not just in the fact that you are going between islands on a boat, and not just the art style. It's everything that you're interacting with in the world is so Zelda inspired and so, I think, very well done.
I think when you compare it to Zelda, that's where it kind of falls apart, because it's not good at being a Zelda game. It's good at being its own thing. And that's fine. One of my favorite games that no one in the world has played. Some people play Grow Home. I don't know anyone that's played fucking Grow Up. This gives me Grow Up vibes, which is a game I fucking love. It scratches all of my weird brat itches. And this game gives me that energy like a lot. And I feel like if I were to compare something like that to Zelda, it would just fall apart completely. And I feel like if this game got any like middling reviews, it was those people who were like, well, this is like Breath of the Wild, but none of this is as deep or developed or as interesting as like Breath of the Wild. But taking on its own merits, when you don't do that, I think it is something special.
I just think
So I
it's
think we're
hard to
in the same
compare to
place.
I think it's just hard to compare it to anything else out there. This Zelda Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild are the closest analogies I think you can bring to Tchia.
Yeah, I think Wind
Well,
Waker in terms of like visual
that's-
aesthetics and Breath of the Wild in terms of like sandboxy nature of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which
And-
is
And like
cool.
going back to the soul jumping stuff, like you get more stuff out of that as you progress, especially when you combine that with your use of the ukulele. Like when you unlock new songs that will unlock more creatures that you can interact with, not just fucking animals. There's more stuff that I am refusing to tell you about.
Real quick,
I'm glad
if you
you're
look at the
refusing to
footage
tell
right
me.
now, so a lot of the collectibles you get in this game, like when you find treasures and stuff, are cosmetics, so you can change your outfit and stuff. I'm wearing what I assume is like a Spider-Man Miles Morales hoodie. It's not like explicitly Spider-Man Miles Morales, but it's the black hoodie with like kind of the red like Spider-Man like looking logo on the front or whatever. And
Alright.
I don't know if I was doing this before I put this on, but now I stick to walls and I climb up shit that I don't think should be like I'm climbing vertical walls.
I mean, you
Like,
can
and
climb any vertical wall.
like purely vertical. Like I'm climbing up the
Yes.
side of a
Yeah.
building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question. I didn't know if that was just like some clever Easter egg because I'm wearing that shirt. Now I can like climb up the wall. I was like, if so, that's super clever.
You're
But
losing it,
it's-
Nick. What are
I
you
guess I'm losing
fucking
it.
talking about?
Yeah. Chris Davis, you got the song that lets you summon a bird.
I'm sorry?
You got the song that lets you summon a bird.
Yeah. I've
Well,
also
when you
got
get
a
that song, when you get that when you do that the rock stacking or whatever that gives you the ability to summon a bird with your ukulele. You also get the ability to summon like a few other animals,
Yes.
but but you just need the bird.
No, I mean, it not necessarily, man, especially depending on your soul meter. Like if you've only got like the basic 3 chunks like Nick has in this game, like here's the thing about the soul meter is that it runs out based on the speed you are moving as that animal. Okay? As well as the secondary ability that you use with that animal. So, like, you can be a bird,
Like
and you can
pooping.
fly really fast and really high, but your meter is going to burn out super quick. So you've got to kind of manage it, and like you can't just.
I think it's a fair thing to point out that like, and maybe because in this case Chris Davis has played quite a bit more than Brad and I have, but like maybe these kinds of things will make more sense once we are farther in the game.
I mean,
I'll say that
I've not played a little bit.
there are more things to soul jump into than you've discovered in the game thus far. A
But
lot
do they
of
all
them
serve a important purpose? Is the
Yes.
question.
Some do
Yes.
things like what I like doing early on before I could get the ability to just summon things, which again I wish it was something I really had to earn, but they just fucking give it to you. Which is one more problem is like the ability to like pick up things and animals and just put them in your backpack, and then you can bring them out anytime you want. Did y'all know that? So like you can just go swimming, grab a fish, just pick it up and put it in your backpack. And anytime you want, you could just pull that fish out, soul jump into it, and swim around. And like he said, since a regular ass fish is really slow, you can be underwater for a very long time before you run out of soul meter.
Yeah,
But
like it
like
can be very
people
strategic.
might not even realize that is a little interesting thing you do because 10 minutes later you're summoning a bird with your fucking ukulele and you're getting anywhere you want in the game. And it's like
You're only getting so far.
This is the sloppiness. This is the sloppiness I was talking about. Like I just
Okay.
Slop.
Okay. I don't think we're going to find a point where like one of us is convinced of. This is just a
like
divisive
I'm not even
part of this game. So
disagreeing with Chris Davis. That's the thing. It's just
no, I
and
know.
I don't even necessarily think he's disagreeing with me. I mean, he's definitely stink facing it, but like I don't think it hurts this experience. I'm just saying I think you need to enjoy Tchia. I think you have to just is something you have to kind of meet on its level, which is not a Zelda game. It is just a vibey sandbox game, really. I mean,
It's
there's
a
stuff
Tchia
to
game.
do. There's stuff to do. I mean, there's Far Cry towers. You just scream at the top of a mountain and to get your icons instead, which again is very, at odds with the whole idea of, I don't know, whatever. The game seems confused sometimes, but that's fine. I like that it feels I like that it feels this way. I like that it feels like a scrappy passion project that is rough around the edges because like the polished game probably doesn't have all the weird soul jumping stuff that this game has, or have the weird physics that this game has. It doesn't let you just backflip whenever you want because you know it's pointless, right? And I'm glad that this game is what it is, and I'm having a really good time with it.
All right.
Well, I hope y'all finish it because I am enthralled with it. I'm loving just all the little moments you get in the story. The music is
The
excellent.
story is pretty clever, or at least not clever, is not the right word, but
The
Endearing?
writing sometimes feels
Endearing.
actually pretty clever. Like there's
there's some genuine laughs I got. Like when you first go to the like the mainland and you go into the you go to try to like meet the dude that's kidnapped your dad, and like they have you fill out all these like forms to go meet with him.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene had me laughing out loud. Like I was like, that's really
Oh,
clever. And like so that's the kind of shit that I'm really eager to see more of, because I think when you start like seeing those scenes, it has a lot of heart.
There's
But,
still there is a lot of that to come for you then. Like the
Nick-
first moment in which Tchia realizes how to control her powers, like that got just such a huge laugh out of me. And there's just so many moments like that in this game. I mean,
good. That's what I want to see more of. Krispy, did you just say my name? Did you just?
Yeah, I was saying Nick loves paperwork.
I do love me some paperwork. All right.
Loves forms and shit.
Okay. We're gonna move on from Tchia, but I'm sure we will revisit this. Chris Davis is gonna finish it for sure. I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm not intending on giving it up or anything yet. And I'm sure neither is Brad.
You said yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you never fucking know. Crispy, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about, because you're the only person here who has played. Because last week was this wouldn't be an open beta, I guess. This would be
the early access open beta.
the
early
paid
access.
beta. The
What
chicken
did we call
beta.
it? The chicken beta.
The chicken
of Diablo
beta. The
4.
KFC Double Down Sandwich Combo beta.
And this weekend is the open beta, which I'm actually probably going to give
regular
I'm gonna try.
open beta.
So what did you think of Diablo 4?
Man, let me tell you, poop from a butt.
What?
No, I'm joking. It was actually really cool. I'm really, really impressed so far. The beta that they did last weekend, you could only play 3 of the 5 classes though. You could only play Barbarian, Sorcerer, or is it Rogue or Roguers? Yeah.
Is it going to be that way with the open beta?
Gamers, I want to be the druid.
Yeah, next
Be
week.
druid.
Yeah, this one that starts tomorrow will have all 5 classes. So
Nice.
they will be adding in the druid and the necromancer, which is just fucking sick. Like, necromancer's always been my favorite. So good. Yeah, this game is kind of a fucking vibe, man. Like, it's kind of cool. In the last couple of years, I've played a shit ton of Diablo 3. Like a shit ton. And during that time,
I've adult, you put away your childish things.
Time to put away childish things. Yeah, and in that time, I've actually like gone between like hating the game to like kind of tolerating it to like kind of loving it. Honestly, playing Vampire Survivor earlier this year or at the end of last year was kind of like a big revelation in like what I liked about Diablo 3. Which, you know, I don't know, take that for whatever it's worth. But this feels different. This is just like kind of like a different thing going on, right? And it doesn't feel like Diablo 3. It doesn't even feel entirely like Diablo 2, but it's got a lot of DNA from the both. And it's got a lot of new stuff that neither of those games have. And it's all kind of working together in this like cosmic gumbo, and it's really fucking, it's doing it for me, you know? It's doing it for me hard. The biggest difference so far, like the most noticeable difference is the format of the game being completely open world. It's like the whole map is right there at your disposal, accessible from the beginning of the game. In past Diablo games, this was split, like they would have very large maps that were procedurally generated, but that were locked by chapter, right? So like every chapter you'd be going to like a new region of the world, it would be a new biome, and it would have its own tile sets and missions and stuff like that were exclusive to that chapter. Now these are regions that are spread out across like an actual single map,
right?
Which Gonza, you know, honestly, I haven't played Path of Exile. I started playing it and didn't really like it. It was a little free to play, a little crunchy for me, so I didn't really get into like the big scope of that game.
I heard
So
this takes a lot of inspiration from that as well, which is
well, that is their big competitor, right? Like Path
Yeah.
of Exile is like really the only other game like Diablo that's out there, like giving it a run for its money. And they're probably for a while now, there probably have been more Path of Exile players than regular Diablo players.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is definitely Blizzard trying to make up for lost ground. I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
But I think they're doing a great job. I think that the mechanics of the game so far feel very Diablo while being, you know, not just like a straight up rip from previous games. I mean they have like completely they've made a completely new like talent tree system. In like for example Diablo 3, that's just the one I'm gonna call back to because it's the last one they did and it's the one that I'm most familiar with, right?
Right.
Everything was just gated by level. It was like, okay, you're level 15 now, you get this, you know, primary ability or this secondary ability. And it was there was no there's not really any decision points as far as like unlocking abilities go. It's more like in Diablo 3, the way you play Diablo 3 nowadays is you start a new character, you're probably playing seasonal. You start your new character and you try to level up to level cap as soon as possible. And if you have any experience at all doing that, it probably takes you maybe 30 minutes to hit level cap.
What
Right?
the
You
fuck?
have to give up your
Yeah.
forge drop though.
What? No. No.
Diablo 2 joke, sorry.
No. But yeah, well,
Fucking nerd.
fuck you. I did play some of the remake of Diablo 2 and it's cool, but it's still kind of there's some
It's
fiddly
old.
things about it.
It's
Some
old.
fiddly things. I mean, they did a lot to update it and make it really playable, but there's some fiddly things about it that don't really sparkle with me.
Can I ask just kind of
But
a newbie question for Diablo because I've never touched a Diablo game?
it's an
It's
action
an action
RPG.
RPG.
I know, but like, is it? Wow, y'all both had the same joke at the same time. Um, seriously though, is this a game where like if I hate to be that guy that just like corners myself and like just is this a game I can play by myself and enjoy?
Oh
Or is
yeah,
this
absolutely.
Yes.
okay?
Absolutely. But this is like the most online that it's probably been, you know?
Mhm.
I mean online was always like a huge focus of Diablo. Like back in the day, like Diablo 2 was I mean like the people who were playing that were playing it for online functionality.
Mhm.
Diablo 3 is less so because like hackers got like way out of control.
I'm gonna
Like
say
you
this
can't
as a Diablo 2 lifer. Um, we weren't playing it for online activity. We were playing it for drops. Just you got better drops online, but everyone was still out for themselves.
right, but but there
Some
was
of
like
us
this
were standing a little too close to, Bell without doing
but there was like
enough,
a
and
robust
everyone knew.
PvP. There was a robust PvP community into.
It
There
was
was
dank as fucking too, though. But yeah, sure,
right, but people fucking did it. Like people enjoyed it because they didn't know any better, right? Um,
everything was dupes and fake dupes and
yeah,
Diablo
and
2.
Diablo 3 it kind of died. Like the online aspect of the game kind of died because it was impossible to just play with random people without them breaking your game. Like if you were on console, especially because they never did anything about uh the PC and console development cycle were completely different. They're actually kind of slightly different games, and Blizzard didn't keep up with support for console really much as far as like trying to fix hackers and things like that. So like you could drop into a game, someone would like throw a sword on the ground, you'd pick it up, and it would be like a sword that has like infinite stats. So like if you were a first level character, you'd go out and kill something and instantly hit level cap, and it would just like absolutely fuck up your enjoyment of the game. You'd have to just like, okay, this one's done, got to start
Whoa.
over. Like yeah,
Okay.
it's fucked up. It was really fucked up. This game is going for much more of like they I don't know what the optionality is going to be as far as like turning online stuff off. In the beta, it was just online. Like you had to connect to the server to play the game, whether or not you were going to play solo or with other people. It's just the way it was. But that was because once you get into the game, the map, like I said, big open world map, is actually a shared map between, I think it's like, I want to say it's like something like 24 people, maybe 36 people, in any particular instance of the game. So like when you go to, like, there's a big city in the center of the map that kind of acts as a hub, early on at least. When you go there, there's just like other people walking around, like going to vendors, doing their own thing. When you go out into the world, you will run into other people randomly. There's like world events that spawn out in the world, like just kind of like public events where anyone can wander in and contribute. There's world bosses, like actual giant monsters that like require, 10, 20 people to band together to fight. So that is all kind of there in it, but you don't really have to engage with it if you don't want to. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can just kind of like follow the story, do your own thing, and it is like a really fun game to just kind of like wander around and explore. There are like dungeons, like they have different kinds of dungeons in the world too. Like there are like kind of mini dungeons. There are cellars. There's like these bigger like story dungeons, and it's really kind of fun. Like I found myself just kind of like wandering around. I haven't done that. I've played a couple hundred hours of Diablo 3, and I can't remember the last time I was just wandering around in that game looking at stuff. Like it wasn't that
It looks beautiful.
kind of
It just looks
experience.
like a fun world to
It looks
explore.
beautiful, and
I
that's
think
another
people
big thing.
I think people are hyped for this game because it looks pretty. And it's Diablo, right? Everybody's hyped for Diablo, but I think people are really popping off for this one because it looks so nice. And I think a lot of people weren't too fond of the look of 3. I mean, 3 was
Three,
it's old at this point. It's old at this
it
point.
is old
But
at this point, but even at the time, like 3, like one of the
yeah,
major criticisms of 3 has always been that like it looks too much like World of Warcraft, and it is like kind of colorful and cartoony, and I mean it still has like a little bit of bite to it, but it just doesn't really feel like a gothic horror kind of
I
like,
love the palette and like just like the kind of the grittiness
yeah.
of this, but like
yeah,
This is gonna
this
make the
has it.
Diablo 1 and 2 fans happy because
Right.
this is more that sort of aesthetic, I guess.
this
But
might be
just
my
like
first
very
Diablo
detailed and
game.
hyper whatever.
I mean it's really sick so far, and like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like a couple of things that really stood out to me that I really enjoyed about it were, first of all, the story content actually seems like really competent this time around. Diablo 3 story is fucking atrocious. Like it's really bad. It's
Dang.
not good, and it like it's one of those games that you play and you're like, oh, they restarted development on this like halfway through, didn't they? Because the story just drops out of nowhere. Like it just drops off.
God damn.
Major characters are killed off and like never spoken of again, and it like doesn't matter, and like so much of like Diablo actually has like really cool lore. Like it has like a really cool kind of like concept for its setting. Basically the whole idea is that the world, which is called Sanctuary, was created by angels and demons who were kind of abdicating from the eternal conflict between heaven and hell, right? They wanted a place to go that was away from that. They created Sanctuary, and the sort of offspring of angels and demons, which were known as the
Nephilim.
Herodrim.
Oh.
Oh, or yeah, Nephilim. Sorry, the Nephilim.
Oh!
Yeah, the Herodrim are like an order of.
I was like, you described it as like, I
No,
know
no,
this
the
one. It's
Nephilim.
Nephilim.
Yeah, it is the Nephilim. They are the ones that kind of eventually became humans, and all of that stuff has been like very much part of Diablo through 2 and 3. I mean, going back to 1, but like in 2, it doesn't really play much of a part in anything. Like it kind of does, because the story of these games is always like, oh, the primevals are coming. We've got to kill the Lord of Terror. We've got to kill Diablo. He's coming back. So some of that is always kind of there, and like in 3, you end up going to both like heaven and hell, where like in 2 you went to hell and killed Diablo, and 3 it's like now you go to heaven during like this big invasion. And it's like, for all this like crazy set piece stuff that's going on, the story doesn't really do much to engage with like what is interesting about the lore. And right away, what I've played of Diablo 4, way better, like way more interesting. It's funny because it's like in Diablo 3, you get all this gear that's like named after these characters in the lore. It's like, oh, if you're a necromancer, like one of your big powerful set pieces is Tragul, you know, and it's like, who the fuck is Tragul, you know, or or you'll get like for wizard you'll get like an Anarius set. And it's like, who the fuck is Anarius, right? Those people are characters in this game, you know, like the story actually deals with Anarius.
It means something when you hear,
Like,
hear
How
those
much
names.
story is in this beta?
a lot, like
Sweet.
a lot of story. Like there were cutscene, like full cutscenes and everything going on. That they've done a lot to like keep the story active and make your character feel like they're kind of in the story, because especially in 3, you just feel so isolated from what's going on, I feel like, because you are just the guy who's standing there watching the main characters talk about what's happening.
Right.
That's
Right.
always been like the Diablo vibe, I feel like, honestly.
It has.
But this is the
I
first
feel
one
like
that's kinda, like,
integrates
breaking.
you a little more into it, because it's less about being led around by the nose of going like, okay, well this is Act 1, and like you're gonna watch what the main characters of Act 1 are doing, and kind of like, okay, then now it's your turn to go out and kill monsters and stuff, and then come back and we'll give you some more story, right? Well, because of the open world setup of this game, it means that now the story is kind of like broken up into different like storylines, and you tackle them at your own pace, right? So you're the one that's kind of driving a lot of the action, which is great. I think from a storytelling point of view, already like, yeah, Bognoise in chat says that the demo is the entirety of Act 1, and I didn't even get to the end of all of the story, like of the main story quest in the few hours that I played. I got pretty close to the beta's level cap, which was 25. I think I got to like level 20. And there was still a good bit of story left for me to do. But yeah, it's
I think
like it's really
we're all
cool.
gonna play some this weekend.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm definitely gonna try it. So
The other thing I really like is they've done a good job of like preserving class identity, like giving every class like their own kind of distinct fantasy, and identity that is backed up by the mechanics of those characters. Again, in 3, in like 2, you had trees where you were like unlocking stuff, but they weren't like super involved, right? You'd have like 3 trees that were kind of smaller, and you'd like pick where you were going to focus, right? In 2, in 3, it was all just you unlocked this, and this at levels X, Y, and Z, and then you equip what you want and make builds. But your build craft was mostly determined by what kind of gear you were grinding for. You know, like whatever kind of gear you had equipped would kind of determine what your abilities were, right? Here, it feels like abilities are maybe more important than they were in 3 compared to armor. Like there's a better balance between abilities and armor. And they have every class now has like a completely different mechanic that you interact with that kind of reinforces that class's fantasy. For instance, I was playing the sorcerer, and once you hit level 15 is when you like start unlocking your unique class mechanics. Sorcerer has a really cool one where like spells that you know can now be slotted into like this special like passive ability slots, so that like they become passive modifiers for other spells that you're casting. Do you know what I'm saying? Like like I don't know. It's really interesting because you're kind of like you've got your 3 different like elemental pathways. Basically, you've got lightning, ice, and fire. But you can kind of play around with like when you're casting this spell, and you have like a different spell slotted into your passive, it'll change that spell and like interact like what kind of effects it produces. And I mean that honestly, that's it's kind of like the idea of runes from 3, where every ability for every class had these like modifier runes that you would unlock for them that changed how the ability works. And it's like they took that whole system and just said, okay, that's a sorcerer thing now. That's what sorcerers do. And then like barbarians have a completely different thing that's like much more geared around equipment, because like now barbarians are like the only uh they're like the only characters in the game that can like carry different like loadouts of weapons, and like their abilities will change depending on like what kind of weapons they have equipped, you know. And I mean there's others that I don't even know how deep they all go, but
I wonder if Druid's still going to be like half cast or half physical. Because I
I
always
don't
loved
know.
the idea of like the werebear and the werewolf and stuff, but they were just like physical classes, and I always hated playing physical classes in
They've
Diablo.
A lot of what they've
So
shown of the druid so far has been very much based around like the wild shape forms. So I think they are still pretty
I
physical.
just want to be a werebear that also summons tornadoes. You know,
I mean, that'd be
come
sick.
on.
we,
That'd be
we
sick.
all want things in life.
That'd be
Um,
sick. Um,
well, I'm sure we're going to talk
oh,
about what's
yeah,
that?
I don't know. I'm just excited for Necromancer because like Necromancer's whole thing is they get like I think it's called like Book of Shadows or something like that, and it affect like their whole class mechanic is affecting all the different like summons that they can create, like all the different undead that they can raise.
Right.
Like it's so cool. I am so
Well,
excited.
we'll play it this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we will report back. I forgot we're
Yeah,
supposed to talk about Exoprimal, and I really didn't want to
yeah.
miss my 4-player minute.
Well, you're not. We're gonna make sure you get your 4-player minute in. But Chris Davis, you played the beta for Exoprimal, right? This is the Capcom dinosaur dropping velociraptors out of the sky.
AKA the closest
Before
thing
you
we're ever
say
going to get to.
anything, was this a strong counter pick? Given the options, do you think this was a pretty strong counter pick on my part?
I think you got a problem. I think you got a
Uh,
problem, buddy.
Okay, okay,
in
okay,
confidence.
Chris Davis. Okay,
Well, I
go
don't
on.
have a whole lot of time to talk about it, but I do want to mention that I had a really good time with it. I played about 4 hours of it over the period of the beta. It's just the beta was just one mode, but you had access to multiple maps. You had access to all of your different exo fighters, which are basically the javelins from what was BioWare's
Anthem?
failed game? Anthem. Yeah.
BioWare's failed game. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. It's a shame that they're 1 for 2 for their Met games. So that's the whole conversation. No, the beta here, the experience of Exoprimal, first off, ran really well. Really is kind of a testament to how
I heard,
well
heard some
this
people
RE
tweeting
engine
about
is.
just the absolute fucking magic of like dropping thousands of velociraptors out of the sky and like no slowdown or something.
It is absolutely stellar just how that moment feels every single time it happens. But no, this was a test of the main gameplay mode. I think it was called like Dino Survival, which is it.
Please tell me it's called Dino Crisis.
No, it's called Dino Survival. It's a 5v5 PvEVP. So the first 4 chapters of a match, and a match is about like 15, maybe 20 minutes, is basically you following Leviathan, who's the pseudo evil AI that's kind of trapped you in this hellish simulation loophole of constantly fighting dinosaurs. You follow it, you complete objectives, and based on whether you're doing it faster or slower versus the enemy team, buffs or negative effects will be applied to your team. So it's all about managing how fast you're doing a match, and then taking advantages of those buffs or debuffs that are spawned by the AI. And it's a lot of fun. I really, really like it. I only got to mess around with like 5 of the mechs, even though like all of them were available. But there were 3 classes: assault, tank, and support. All of them I enjoyed playing as. All of them had unique effects to them and abilities that felt really fun to play with. There is a level of progression that is clearly there, but it just wasn't present in the beta. Like it was just straight turned off. Like when you finish a match, it did full progression, and it showed you what you unlocked for that character, for that suit. This is.
Do any of the suits have like unique like traversal, like or any like do some of them like can they scale walls or fly or anything like that? Or are they all grounded?
Yes. Like it's not as much as you think. Like the thing about traversal in this game is that you're not really going off the beaten path because you're trying to just follow the objective. So you're
on a path in these matches.
These are sizable maps, but the path you go through these maps varies between matches, if that makes sense.
Kind of.
Yeah, each a lot of them do have a different mechanic for traversal. Like,
ooh, that was cool.
Yeah, you can switch out to any mech on the fly as you're playing a match.
And now you were in this giant tank dude. Now you're like running around with a giant katana.
Yeah,
That's
now
cool.
I'm a samurai exo fighter. I forget what they're called. Later, let me switch to let me fast forward and finish because I don't have much time to talk about this. Later on, I got one that allows me to kind of rollerblade through a map, for example.
What?
Yeah.
That's
like the sport class I played, if we would have had time, I would have showed you footage. The character rollerblades across the map. She uses double pistols, and you can switch on the fly whether they do active damage to dinosaurs and other players, or you can switch it to heal, and it will do tracking heals on your other players on your team.
that's pretty. How many players on your team at once?
It's 5
per match, I guess. 5.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how every match ends?
So you go through four chapters of a match, and then it transports you to the final sequence. And that's when the PvP opens up, actually. You can actually fight the other team. The objectives that you can do varies between the matches. They'll change. Sometimes they'll be collect all the tokens that are on the map. Sometimes it's push the payload. It's a variety of stuff. I think I played at least 3 different objectives.
So just so I'm understanding, so you are for most of a match, you are like with a team pushing through waves of dinosaurs, and then you get to the very end, and then you suddenly have to fight each other?
Yes.
Or like compete against each other?
Yes.
Welcome to Exoprimal.
That's
this is what I think
interesting
is turning a lot of people off. I feel like a lot of people don't want to do that.
Is it just because you're not fighting dinosaurs and that's what people are showing up for? Or
I don't think people want to fight each other. I really hope there's some modes where you could just sort of play a co-op horde mode type game.
I think there is.
But are you saying like? I mean, I don't know what Chris Davis thinks, but like, does the combat kind of like become less engaging or less fun when all of a sudden you're no longer wielding weapons against dinosaurs? And
well, I mean, you're still fighting dinosaurs at the same time. They're just mobs on the map. But
so they're just kind of trying to get in the way of you while you're trying to take out the other players.
The raptors and dinosaurs that are on the map in the final sequence, they're just hanging out near the objective, and they're trying to pressure you.
Are you controlling a T-Rex right now?
Yes. You one of the abilities, if your team is down, the AI will give you the ability to summon a Tyrannosaurus Rex and control it to attack the other team.
You could have just said T-Rex. I don't mean to be critical of your love of dinosaurs, but how much of your enthusiasm for this game comes from your love of the dinos?
Are you talking about me or Chris Davis?
Chris Davis. You're not even playing.
I was like, since when have you ever chastised Chris Davis for his love of dinosaurs? I think it's funny that you can actually see.
I'm not chastising him. I'm saying his enthusiasm does it have a lot to do with the fact that it's dinosaurs in this
game. That is a perk of it, but I more like the fact that it is a horde experience, like Left 4 Dead, like World War Z, like things like that, where it's massive amounts of enemies attacking you, and it's you with three or four other friends defending. Like, I like that shit.
So this is a pretty good one of these.
I'm enjoying it, man. I really like what I played in this beta.
I believe you're enjoying it. Give me the Metacritic.
It's
back to the Fantasy Critic shit.
It's in the 80s, man. I think
in
it
the
Thinks
is.
it's in the
80s?
'80s.
Probably
Hey, you think
probably
this
low
is in the
80s.
80s?
It would be
Oh,
higher
boy.
if there was an actual campaign to the game. Because this is a pure
How much are they
multiplayer
selling this for?
experience.
How much are they selling this for?
I
Have they
don't
even
remember.
announced that information yet? I don't think
You
they've
think
announced
this is
that.
going to be in the 80s?
But here's the thing: is that this game is launching in July, and it has zero competition to face. Like it's like there's nothing challenging it as a multiplayer experience in July. So it's got breathing
What
room for
about
people to play it.
Fortnite? What are you talking about? Sorry. This competition. Well,
I mean, I think what he's saying is
I
that
hope
in the
you're
month
right,
of
man.
July,
I
this
hope
could
this game
be
is sick
the
as hell, and I
this
can
could be
play
the
this
big
game
release.
without having to shoot a bunch of other fucking nerds. But
I think there is a pure PvE experience in the game. It just wasn't in the beta.
can I play it single player?
Shut
No,
up, Brad. You should.
shut up.
He's that was aimed at me. Fuck you, Brad.
Like
You know, what? I'll tell you what. This looks like a perfect 4-player
I don't know. Is it going to be
community
free to
night.
play?
No, it's like a full price game. I'm pretty sure.
Well, then no, we're not playing this.
Well, it's also on Game Pass. It's a day one Game Pass.
Oh,
well, there you go.
Well, then maybe
Suddenly
we can
Brad's
play
like,
it.
okay, maybe this is an 80.
Okay.
This is really
there you go. There
If-
you go.
if
Now there's a reason to be enthusiastic. I think this works perfectly as a Game Pass game.
Brad, let me just pitch you one line and see what you think about it.
Okay.
This is a game that clearly took a lot of inspiration from the outlandish combat of Monster Hunter.
What?
And wanted to do all those flashy moves that happen in that combat. But they didn't make a Monster Hunter game.
I'm gonna be honest, Chris Davis.
Ooh,
That was
isn't
a real
that exciting,
risky.
Brad? It's
That was
Monster
a-
Hunter. It's sci-fi.
It's got Monster Hunter
Hunter
DNA in it. Does that
Ooh.
help?
They made a sci-fi. Capcom made a sci-fi Monster Hunter, and it was called Lost Planet 2.
Yeah, 2 generations ago.
I'm gonna be honest, Chris Davis.
looks
That was a
like,
hell of a risk.
This looks like EDF with dinosaurs.
As someone
is
who
fine.
plays EDF,
Polished EDF. I also play EDF. Polished EDF with dinosaurs where you have to fight other people at the end of your match, which is the part that I don't want to do.
well,
So I don't know.
All right.
I don't
Well,
know. I like
it's
it.
like I said,
Quote 'em,
It's a-
quote 'em. This
Why is
game's
that,
getting
Brad?
80s.
Are you afraid
Huh?
you'll lose?
No, I don't play multiplayer.
Are you afraid
games.
you're not good enough?
I
All
don't
right,
play
all right.
multiplayer games.
calm down, killer. Everybody, all right. Brad, you want to get your 4-player minute out of the way before you have to leave tonight. You only have
Yes, I
about
do
5
wanna get my
minutes.
4-player minute out of the way.
I
Thank
do want to switch
you.
gears, but I am eager to see how Exoprimal turns out, if for no other reason to see if it breaks the 80s. Because damn. All right,
Come on.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
I kind of wish I had taken part.
Name 10 dinosaur games you had a lot of fun with. You could name 30. Listen, here's my 4-player minute.
Really?
I've been watching Psych Odyssey. Okay. Y'all know what this
Wait,
is?
what? No.
Psych Odyssey.
The Psychonauts
Double
documentary.
fine documentary. And let me tell you, if games are something you love or you're very interested in, which I imagine this is everybody here and everybody probably watching this or listening to this, you have to watch this thing. The thing is, it's a 33 episode documentary, and it's
like
it's
8
over
hours
20
long.
hours. It's an over 20-hour documentary
It's wild.
that covers the entirety of the development.
I'll post a link in the link dump for
the entire
for this.
The entirety of the development of Psychonauts 2, including all the chaos with like Starbreeze and the COVID. Look, it's if you are, you don't have to care about Psychonauts. If you're interested in the creation of art and the trials and tribulations, this is
Of game
enthralling.
development,
I'm
yeah.
only like on episode 17 of 33, but I'm honestly, I'm stunned. I think y'all have to watch this. It is fucking incredible.
What's
Now,
it on?
I think it's
it
just
is
on
on
YouTube. isn't
YouTube.
it?
It is they a month or two ago they just released
That's a
all
hell
of the
of a thing,
episodes.
right? Like
Yes,
making
this is
a
two-player
documentary this
production.
big and then just
Two-player
dropping it
production
on YouTube.
basically just lives with them and shoots this documentary, and it is crazy. It so many ups and downs. The stories, let me tell you, the characters, they're real people, but it's like it's crazy. I mean, you know, Amnesia Fortnite's the thing they always do. The game jam they always do, where they take 2 weeks out of their year, and they're just like, we're gonna do a game jam. Drop everything. Everyone's got to do a game jam.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick people that can. They're going to pitch ideas to Tim, and he's going to say, all right, you're doing this, you're leading a team, you have 2 weeks to make your game. It's crazy. One of the 2-player productions guys jumps in to lead a game for Amnesia Fortnite. You got to watch this thing. You have to watch this thing. No excuses. No excuses. I know it's long, I know it's a lot of time, but if you care about games, if you care about the process of creating art or anything, it is, I mean, it's stunning. It really is. Now, you know, people are very resistant to very long things, right? Oh, it's so long. I can never watch all of this, which is why I made a short list.
It's not necessarily the length. It can also be the girth.
I can't get much out of Crispy. Crispy told me he was rewatching The Next Generation, which is fine.
How about the
That's fine.
motion?
It's
Really?
quality
What?
television. That's fine.
What, you think I won't watch this because it's long?
No. I just have a short list. Chris Davis recently replayed the entirety of Elden Ring. And for Nick, I have watched 173 episodes of Castle. So
I did, yes, I did. I did do that.
Castle. Oh my god.
I
Yeah.
thought you were about to throw me under the bus for something I didn't actually do, and I was like, no,
No.
you're absolutely fucking
I'm
right.
just
I
saying,
did do that.
you know, I have very busy, chaotic life, but I'm still finding time to watch this. It's taken me a while, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it. It's incredible. You'll have to watch it. And you know what? You won't find a person who watched through this thing that wasn't like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And it is. I'm fucking, especially as a Psychonauts fan, it is a special thing. But I'm telling you, even if you don't care about Psychonauts, it is crazy. If you have even the faintest interest in video games, as
Will
in
it make you
you know,
want to play Psychonauts too?
oh, probably. I mean, I'm already thinking about a replay, but I'm a big Psychonauts fan because it is fucking crazy. My heart watching this thing. Oh, there's this young designer who gets a chance to be like a lead level designer to design brains. This guy, and he's given a chance, and they do like a little flashback. I'll give you one little storyline of like on Psychonauts 1, which the first episode was sort of like a lot of old footage and basically talking about the development of Psychonauts 1. They hired all of these young level designers, and it wasn't working out, and they fired all of them. They're like, you know what? All of y'all are fired. And then it jumps to like Psychonauts 2, and they hire this like young guy who used to be a fan who's never really designed like a 3D game or whatever, right? And but they give him a chance, and he's like a lead level designer, and he's designing these brains, and like he's pitching these ideas, and they're spending so many times in all these meetings creating all these like assets and like white box worlds of like, and I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my God, this level is not in the game or this level is nothing like this in the game. And I'm like, I could barely fucking breathe because he's like, all right, we wrapped up this level. Let's go on to the next level. And they start designing this next level. And I'm like, oh my God, this level's not like this at all in the game. And I can't bear to watch what happens because I know it's not going to be happy. And it's crazy. It's crazy. You'll have to watch this thing, especially if, yeah, I mean, there's no excuses. We all
Okay.
care enough about games to do a podcast and watch a podcast. Y'all got to watch this thing. It is crazy.
I'll post the link in the link dump for the first episode.
And that's my 4-player minute. And I've played less games because I've been watching this, and it's a lot, and I don't have a lot of time. But I'm not sad. Poor James. Oh my God, the comments are like, I couldn't do it. I had to look up this dude to make sure everything was okay with him. I can't do this.
Is
Yeah.
everything okay with
Yeah.
him?
Well, I can't tell you. You're gonna have to watch.
He's
Oh,
dead.
Yeah. You're gonna have to watch. But oh my God, people fucking, especially if
So
you watch
fucked up.
the because they did a much shorter version of this for the you know, when they did the Kickstarter for their adventure game, Double Fine Adventure, you know,
Right.
the Elijah Wood ones. And anyways, these people have been working there for a long time, and when you see people like move on, it's like fucking heartbreaking, dude. And you see like fucking Tim like saying goodbyes, and he's about to like, you know, burst into tears. It's like it's emotional and it's a journey. It's crazy. So yeah, highly
Sweet.
recommend it.
That
Psych
sounds, that
Odyssey.
sounds good.
It's all free. It's on YouTube. Watch it. It's awesome.
All
Anyways,
right.
I gotta go.
Again,
Y'all have a great fucking night.
thanks,
Bye.
Brad.
Bye
I'll post the link to that in the link dump. All right. I'm gonna hand it over to Chris Davis to go next. 4-player minute. You know what's up.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
I do know what's up. I guess I would like to spend my 4-player minute. How would I want to do it? There's so many things tonight that have gotten under my skin.
Okay, well, don't dwell on all of them. Pick one.
Golly, okay, let's do something positive. Similar to what Brad did with the entire Double Fine documentary, I have been catching up on no-clip documentaries that have been going on. I finally watched the other night the one about DMA design.
About what?
DMA design.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, you would. They're the developers behind a franchise called Grand Theft Auto.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What?
Also, the Lemmings franchise, which I had no fucking idea. Like I can't believe that the developers behind Lemmings made Grand Theft Auto.
That's just weird.
That is weird, but also awesome. I don't know if
I've only ever watched one no-clip documentary. It was the one for Black Mesa, which was really interesting.
Black Mesa. You should really watch the Arcane documentary. You should also watch the Crystal Dynamics and the.
Didn't they do a Final Fantasy 14 one?
Probably.
I don't remember.
What
was the one for Ravenholm? The one that featured Ravenholm.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Yeah, that one was pretty cool too. Watching that footage of the canceled Half-Life game is so interesting.
Yeah.
No, they did a big one on Final Fantasy 14 as well, and that one's really good.
Sweet. Maybe I can just watch that instead of playing it.
Yeah, go for it.
You'll get just as much Final Fantasy 14 out of watching.
They also have a really good Hades one, according to Brad, who's in chat. I do remember hearing them talk about that.
Yeah, but the DMA design one is really cool because it was their like first one going into COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing a lot of Skype calls and interviews via that, and they had to hire a separate team to go over to Scotland to film over there, where Rockstar North is. Technically, they went to Dunby, but Rockstar North is actually in Edinburgh. But it started out.
You can switch the layout. Sorry, okay. Brad finally cut out.
There we go. All right. But yeah, it was really cool seeing like their road between like their founding all the way to Grand Theft Auto 3. Especially cool. Their stint making their Nintendo 64 games. I don't know if you remember Space Station Silicon Valley.
Nope.
That was theirs. And then a cult favorite of mine, Body Harvest, was also theirs.
Oh, I have played Body Harvest.
Body Harvest is so cool, man.
A little bit of. I don't know if I would say it's so cool, but I have played Body Harvest.
When you realize that it is the predecessor in design to GTA 3, you appreciate it so much more.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think everyone should take a. I want a full on like 3-hour documentary just about Body Harvest because that game is so cool to me. But yeah, let's end this on a positive note and say go watch their documentaries. NoClip is fucking awesome. They do a great job.
NoClip is. I haven't seen a lot, but NoClip is one of the. I did subscribe to their channel, and the ones that I have taken the time to watch have been pretty good. So I will second that. I'll try and post a link to that documentary as well in the show notes.
All right.
All right, Krispy, your turn.
Okay, what have I been watching?
I don't know. What have you been watching?
Okay, so I was watching Next Generation. I'm actually onto Deep Space Nine now again, and let me tell you, man, I've been dancing around it for a long time, but I think I'm ready to officially declare Captain Sisko as my favorite captain.
Really?
He's so good. He is so good. Avery Brooks fucking kills it. He is so good. Fuck. I mean, I love Picard. I really, really like the new Captain Pike in Strange New Worlds. He was like the best part about Discovery when he was on Discovery. Strange New Worlds first season was really good, and Pike is awesome. But no, man, Captain Sisko, he's incredible. I got through the arc where Lieutenant, what was that guy's name? Eddington. There's a character that they introduce who's like a Starfleet security officer who ends up betraying everybody and going over to the Maquis, the terrorist organization. Which, I mean, that's kind of loaded. There's a lot going on with the Maquis. But he betrays them, and I watched the episode where he actually like does the double cross, and it's fucked up because the whole time he's like throwing Sisko off by framing his girlfriend, by being like, "Oh, your girlfriend's running drugs for the Maquis," and then at the end you find out he's the traitor and he leaves. And then later on, it's For the Uniform, I think is the name of the episode, where he goes hunting him, and they have this whole like cat and mouse thing. And at the end of it, Sisko's like, "Man, fuck this. He thinks he's a hero in this story. Then I'll be the fucking villain." And Sisko goes and is like doing war crimes on
fucking
planets.
War crimes.
I mean, like, you know, it's a little more like nuanced than that. He's not. He like. He has them like fire.
He drops a bioweapon against.
He drops
a planet.
bioweapons on a planet, right?
Yeah.
But it only poisons the planet to human life. Other species like Cardassians can still live there, and the whole conflict was Cardassians. The whole point,
very different, very different.
The whole conflict with the Maquis is that they were a bunch of settlers on the edge of Federation space, and that the Federation, the Federation got into a thing with the Cardassians, and the Cardassians were like, "We want these planets," and the Federation acquiesced and handed them all over. And these Federation citizens kind of got like left in the lurch, and they're like, "Well, fuck that." So they're like doing all these terrorisms to like make these planets, like they were doing the same thing. They were poisoning planets so that Cardassians couldn't live there, but humans could. So Sisko kind of went and did the opposite. And there's like this great moment where like Eddington is like, you know, "What are you doing? Like you're betraying everything that Starfleet stands for because you're obsessed with a personal vendetta against me." And Avery Brooks is like, "You must change your uniform." And it's like you're like, whoa. Oh, you feel it like in the bottom of your heart, and it's just like so good. I love Star Trek Deep Space Nine so much. It's such a good show.
The thing about Sisko is that he's such a contrast to Picard and Kirk in that he gets angry and vindictive. Like it's the whole introduction of his character at the beginning of Deep Space Nine. I don't know why I'm encouraging this, but the whole introduction of his character, the original thing, is that he hates Picard. He hates him with a passion.
Well, they don't have a lot of interaction, but yeah.
No, they don't. They have like 2 scenes. That
first meeting is like supposed to be the tone setter of like, "Well, this ain't your daddy's Star
No, it's
Trek."
not.
You know, because Picard is the one that gives Sisko his orders to go be the commander of this new space station they've acquired, Deep Space Nine. Yeah. And Sisko's like really cold with him, and he's like, there's a part where Picard's like, "Oh, have we met before?" And Sisko's like, "Only once in battle." And like, because his ship was destroyed at the Battle of Wolf 359, which is the battle that happens in Next Generation, Best of Both Worlds, where Picard gets assimilated and becomes Locutus of Borg, and he leads a Borg attack against Earth and ends up destroying like 40-something ships and killing thousands of people. And Sisko's ship was one of the ones that was destroyed, and his wife was killed in the attack. So he's just like, "Fuck you."
Okay.
Like, it's so
I'm gonna guess
good.
the statute of limitations on spoilers for Deep Space Nine is long since passed.
No, this is the first episode.
That's the first episode.
And that's how it starts.
That's how they introduce the entire series.
Yeah. And like that storyline is so good. That storyline of like I'm a survivor of Wolf 359, so like I fucking hate you, Picard, is so good that they're doing it again right now in Star Trek Picard. There's a new character that they introduced who's a captain who was like an ensign during Wolf 359, and he fucking hates Picard, and you get into the reason why, and it's like this tragic backstory of how like him and 5 other people were the only ones that survived from his ship, and like all his friends died because of Picard. And it's like it's a great. I mean, they're doing it really well in Picard actually, but like it's nowhere near as good as DS9. Um, just I fucking love that show so fucking much. Oh my god, like it's so good.
Man.
Video game related news. I suppose I should mention something about video games. I will say, Friday, Lance Reddick passed away. If you haven't heard,
That was gonna be my 4
that
player
was
minute, man.
that. Well, that was yeah. I mean, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because
Destiny.
he was a big part of Destiny. Like, not only did he play Commander Zavala, who was like a big important character in Destiny, but he was also a a big fan of the game and was like a part of the community and stuff. And it's really sad. And in this week's story mission for the current season, there was a different character, like a different regular character who died, and then we had like this whole funeral for that character, and like Commander Zavala was the one leading it, and like it just got everyone like all up in their emotions about it. It was really fucking sad. Like I like on Friday I tried to log into Destiny. I couldn't even get in because like the servers were crowded. Like everybody was in the tower like doing like sitting vigils and stuff around Commander Zavala. Like it was just this weird, nerdy little tribute to like an actor who people really did appreciate, and it was a really tragic loss. I mean, he was only 60,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's, as the segue, I was going to mention this in my 4 player minute because he was also a major character in Horizon. I mean, he's probably way more well known for his work in Destiny at this point, but
I mean, he does a lot. I mean, he did a lot of video game work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of video game work. I mean, he did a lot of video game work. He's obviously been in a lot of films too, and he just I follow. It was so it came out of left field.
Yeah.
And I follow him on Twitter, and the dude seems like just like the nicest, just
like the coolest guy
most
ever.
positive dude
Yeah.
in the world. And
also he's like, like you should watch his episode of the Eric Andre show. It's so good. He's
I've been seeing clips of it.
He's like the one guy. He's the one guy that they, he wasn't in on the joke, but they couldn't flap him. They couldn't flap him, and so they turned it around. Like, and they just like at the last minute were like, well, hey, can you do something for us? And he does this whole, and it ties into Star Trek too. It's really good. But I mean, it was really tragic.
This is one of those, this kind of thing happens, and usually it doesn't hit me this hard, but for whatever reason, I mean, Friday was rough for me after this news dropped. And it's gonna make, like, I'm going to see John Wick on Sunday, and it's gonna make that kind of emotional as well. And there's been all these like interviews with Keanu Reeves talking about, and like there's like this like this kind of like love affair between those two, like them both being interviewed and talking about how much the other person is so great and stuff, and it's just like. And then there was that one video going around of Keanu Reeves on the red carpet talking about Lance Reddick, and it's like very, kind of like the thing most people would say, like, yeah, it was an honor working with him, blah blah blah, and then at the very end, he cuts it with, and it fucking sucks that he's not here, and I was like, oh, you're right,
Yeah.
like that's like the most real thing he could have possibly said, and man, it's just so sad, but. Obviously nothing you can do about it, but rest in peace, Lance Reddick. On a more positive note, because Christine was like, let's end this on a positive note, and then we're just going straight into like one of the saddest news stories of the week. I'll try and end it with, I will say on the video game front, 2023 has been just kind of such a nonstop, just like constant wave of like quality, which is kind of crazy. Like, something like Tchia is like, scoring in the 70s or whatever, but it's still, I was like, that's like, if that's like the worst this year has to offer, like what the hell? This is crazy. And I'm getting excited for things that I don't feel like I would normally getting excited for. Like I'm really eager to try Diablo. I've never touched a Diablo
A
game.
lot of things hitting your radar, huh?
Yeah, a lot of things hit. I mean, and honestly, this Fantasy Critic thing is probably really making that easy. Dredge, which comes out next week. I'm really
Don't
excited all of
fucking
a
talk
sudden.
to me about fucking Dredge, okay? Just move on.
I know it was stolen from
Just
you. I
fucking
know.
move on.
But like,
And then
for a
you're
game
like,
that
oh, I didn't know
existed,
anything about Dredge till Brad bit on it.
I amend my statement. I didn't know about it until Krispy bit on it.
Fucking move on.
But yeah, man, this year has been wild, and it's only March, and Resident Evil 4 drops tomorrow, and
82, 83,
wow,
what are we thinking?
it's already at a 92. What are you talking about?
Oh, is it? Shit.
Yeah, dude, that was one of the first things we talked about tonight. I
Who
know that
has
was like 4
that?
hours ago. Huh? Chris Davis.
Extensive enterprises. Well, good
know
for him. He
Crispy,
fucking needs it.
I know
Fucking
Crispy
need
was
it,
just
yeah.
waking. Crispy was still waking up when we were in the Fantasy Critic update part, but yeah, 92. He's pulling in 24 points on Resident Evil 4, and that's not a surprise. That's an amazing game, and this remake is
That number's only going to go up.
you say that, but I don't think that number usually goes up after release. If anything, it usually goes down. But I don't think it's gonna move. I think it's gonna stay right around.
According
92.
to Fantasy Critic, I'm actually at 25 points for it.
Oh, are we officially? Did it bump up to 93?
It hasn't locked in yet. Don't.
Yeah,
Chris
but it's
Davis,
only going to go
It
higher.
says 9. It says 92.
Chris Davis, don't get too
okay.
cocky yet. You still have Dead Island 2 on your list.
I know.
man.
Yeah,
Hey.
and I don't.
I might drop that. Who knows?
You only get one.
Yeah,
only
that's
get
fine.
one.
I will deal with that.
Anyways,
I'm still really interested to see what Mortal Kombat 12 does because
yep, me too.
that is
Just quaking in your boots, man.
yeah, that's what it is. Sure.
I'm putting a pin in this podcast, guys. I know it's been a wild ride, but thank you for sticking with us. It's been an exciting week in games, and sometimes that's what this translates to. We get a little excited. So join us next week for Resident Evil 4 talk and more Diablo 4 beta talk. I'm sure, because I think we're all gonna at least try and dabble in it a little bit this weekend.
And Horizon.
And I'll talk about Horizon Call of the Mountain next week. I'm almost done with it. I wanted to talk about it tonight, but obviously there wasn't going to be enough time. I'll just wait till I'm done with it. But yeah, so next week will be great. So be here. Again, I forgot to mention at the top of the show because we kind of got right into the Fantasy Critic stuff. Nolan is out this week, and obviously this week and next week. But he should be back for the first show in April, I want to say. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's very busy, so that's the only reason why you're not seeing him on the show a lot this month. But don't worry, everything's good. He'll be back soon. So
Just got shit
in the
to do,
meantime,
man.
got lots of shit to take care of. So in the meantime, guys, be good to each other, play video games. Join us in Discord at discord.gg/4Player if you haven't already. There is now a Resident Evil 4 remake channel set up there, so if you want to go in there and get deep into spoilers and talk about that game, go in there, have fun. But anyways, yeah, we'll see you next week. Good night.